쟁쟁한 선수들밖에 없어가지고 뽑고 싶은 사람이 좀 없을 정도인데 생각하는 사람은 있어가지고
기석이가 저를 뽑는다는 소문이 있더라고요.
제 생각에는 뭐 B조나 C조 정도 기석이가 저를 뽑을 수도 있다고 저는 생각을 하고.
선택을 바라는 듯한 선수들이 굉장히 많네요.
1차 지명이 지금 이루어졌고요. 조기석 선수 쪽으로 넘어가.
테란이 제일 나을 것 같긴 한데 토스분들이 계속 오고 싶어 하시는 분들이 있더라고요. 조금 생각 좀 하고 있습니다.
오,
저요.
김태경.
기석이 못 이기겠더라고요.
와! 100일간의 휴가.
태경한테 안 좋은 기억밖에 없어가지고
김태경 선수를 잡고 싶다면 이번 시즌일 것 같아. 14강에서도 좀 실수가 막 눈에 보였었고 꽤 쳤잖아요.
아, 그걸 다 보완하고 올 것 같아요. 재욱이 형이 힘들더라고요. 이제 온전히 게임만 집중할 수 없을 것 같더라고요.
맞아요. 기석에는 안 좋은 기억도 있고 저도 뭐 가도 괜찮을 것 같아요.
이야, 오, 지금 변현재 손 들었어요.
저도 온라인에서 기석이 형한테 엄청 많이 지거든요. 저를 뽑는 게 이 셋 중에는 제일 낫지 않을까
네.
싶어요.
그럼 셋 중에 뽑을 의향은 있으세요?
또 이름값 보니까 안 되겠더라고요. 제일 잘하는 삼토스밖에 없는데 굳이 저 삼토스를 뽑고 제가 나락을 가야 되나. 병영이 형이나 영웅이를 원래 생각을 하고 왔는데 저 둘은 대학이 없어요 지금. 온전 자기 게임만 해요.
아, 죽어라 연습할 수 있다.
아이고, 유영진.
대학생활 하느라 바쁩니다.
영진이 형 그냥 빠져 있어.
나쁘지는 않은 것 같은데 복수 한번 해야 되긴 해가지고.
저는 그저께 졌거든요. 제가 또 낫기 좋지 않나.
태양입니다.
이영웅이에요.
영웅이가 요즘에 진짜 잘하고 있긴 한데 진짜 뽑을 사람이 없었어요.
진짜 만족합니다. 원했어요 비주.
원해서 지금 아까 전에 그랬어.
유인.
일부러 막 프로토스 얘기하고 막 그랬는데.
불합니다.
와, 구라고. 와, 축하드려요. 그럼 B조로 떠나보도록 하겠습니다.
네, 또 생각 한 명 하고 있었거든요. 아직 남아 있어가지고 적입니다.
적은 남아 있어요.
저희 회의하고 있었거든요. A조 갈 기회를 저그 셋이 노리고 있습니다.
전부 다 A조를 원하고 있는 상황이에요. 이재동 선수는 어떠세요?
나 뽑을 거잖아. 아 왠지 저 뽑을 것 같아요.
저그 셋 중에
네, 셋 중에 한 명입니다. 이재동이에요.
저희 팀 선배였거든요. 경기장에서 한 게임 해보고 싶어가지고 뽑게 됐습니다.
A 그룹의 4명의 선수는 먼저 선택이 됐습니다.
토스 생각하고 있습니다.
변현재와 도재욱.
근데 요즘 제동이 형이 엄청 잘하더라고요. 나머지 2명 테란도 저를 상대하는 게 더 편하거든요. 3명 다 고려하면 제가 낫지 않을까 싶어요.
이건 잘못된 정보고요. 기석에 대해 가장 최근 8강 패배, 영웅 24강 패배, JD 끝장전 패배 다 지고 있어요.
네. 진짜 다 졌네요.
네, 더 뽑아야 돼요. 구이맘조를 하나 만들어서 아름답게 올라가는 것도 좋을 것 같아요.
9위. 오, 도재욱.
예.
당첨.
불만 좀 쏟지는 않네요.
A 그룹과 D 그룹까지 지명 완료가 지금 된 상황인데요.
A조는 안 건드리고 D조도 시청자분들 위해서 남겨야 됩니다. 도재욱 김명훈을 딱 바꿔서 저저를 한 명 딱 붙여서 떨어뜨리는 게.
야.
그렇게 바꾸면 투수가 올라갈 수도 있어요. 그리고 저희 T1 3명 뭉치면 안 돼요. 이게 딱 좋은 것 같고.
T1 중 한 명만 올라가자 최소. 떨어질 수도 있어요 이러다가.
다 죽어 그냥. 그냥 그러지 마.
우승자의 권한 최종 선택. 자, 졸장을. 진짜로? 뭐야?
제가 다 좋아하는 선수들이어서
마음에 들고.
마음에 들어서
모두가 만족하는 조 같은데 후회 없는 경기하고 꼭 잘해보겠습니다.
Hello and welcome to Group B of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6. Stronger, more robust, clean energy. In yesterday's Group A, on the opening day of the round of 16, defending champion Sulky and Light, once again aiming for the top, both made it through to the round of 8. Today, 2 Terrans, 1 Zerg and 1 Protoss are waiting to play their matches. Let's have a chat with our players. Hi, good to have you here. Let's first talk to seeded player Sharp. Joining us as the seeded player in Group B for the group nomination ceremony, after a while, you received love letters from so many players, and in the end, this is the group that was formed. As a seeded player, are you satisfied with Group B? I think we all have a chance of advancing out of our group. So I think the games should be interesting. Just as you've said, it felt that out of the 4 groups, Group B was the one where all the players seemed more than satisfied, which also means it's difficult to predict who will make it out. But if we're talking about the form you've shown over the last 3 seasons, it's highly expected that you should advance in first place. I wonder what you think about that. You know, I should be doing well both offline and online, and yet I keep leaning to one side, as in doing well offline and not online. And that's why many players want to play with me. They've not got a taste of it yet. Today, I want to show them why me offline is a whole different game. Oh, your goal today is to make them regret wanting to play against you. Yes. Well, this certainly raises expectations. Let's talk to Speed as well. Hi. Hi. It looks to me you've got your eye on the game as you're warming up your hands. I would expect you're motivated, you're not as nervous as you might have been last time in the round of 16. How are you? I'm clearly more comfortable than last time. I was really nervous last time. This time, I'm not as anxious. I should have a good performance. Last season, you got eliminated in the round of 8. It was the round of 16, though. But you put up a formidable fight against Snow. It was a season you showed an impressive side of yourself. So many people have expectations for you. They expect you'll cause a stir. Can we hear what your take on that is? People will be thinking that because my appraisal has gone up. I think that's premature. I'll show how I prepared. How confident are you today, percentage-wise? Around 60%? 60%. So a more than half probability you advance, it would seem? Shall we talk to Jaydong now? Hi. Hi. It's quite rare to hear you're satisfied with the group you're in. It would appear you've got a good feeling about this round of 16. You will have practiced, so now, has your level of satisfaction gone up? Or did you perhaps realize it won't be as easy as you thought? They're all good players, it won't be easy. Nonetheless, I prepared diligently. I came here just having cleared my mind. If we talk about this lucky jinx, the last time you made it into the round of 8 was in Season 15, and it was here in the Free Cup studio. You are personally more comfortable with this studio. It's a studio you've experienced some joy in. There will be people with expectations in their hearts. Will it be alright? Whenever there's expectations, I tend to drop the ball. But I did put in a lot of prep. I honestly just cleared my mind and I want to be relaxed today. The attitude you always show is that you show up relaxed with an empty mind and then you start getting fired up as you play the matches. I can't wait to see if the Tyrant will present himself today. Let's talk to Best as well. Hi. Hi. Best, you ran into some difficulties in the round of 24, but you have managed to safely land in the round of 16 as you're waiting to play your matches. What's your condition like? My form is acceptable. Having made it into the round of 16, you said, as long as I myself do well, I can make the round of 8. But before that, you said you need to raise your performance. How well have you managed to improve your game? I think it's improved to some degree. I feel that if I don't make mistakes, I have a chance to advance today. There's a lot of storylines involving these 4 players. We need to go quite far back for this. To Group B of ASL Season 2. Sharp, Mind, Jaydong, and Best were the members of that group. Replacing Mind is Speed. The members today are similar, the races are identical. This is actually the first time Jaydong and Best are meeting in the ASL since then. It's been so long it almost feels like you're meeting for the first time. How do you guys feel about going up against each other as your first opponent today? Jaydong? I actually can't remember that very well, it's been so long. But even afterwards we played a lot online. So, despite this being an offline game after so long, I feel like we are well accustomed to each other. I feel I haven't been able to deliver offline, to have my skills show. I think it would be fun to put that to the test today. The two of you have been playing each other recently quite a lot online, but this being an offline match, it will clearly feel different for the both of you. Best, I'm sure you'll be feeling differently about playing Jaydong on stage. Even during my own professional days, we had these highly respected players. We had Taekbek Lee Sang. Meeting on stage has a special feel to it. It'll be interesting. He's a player I like, and with that in mind, I want to play a fun game. You both are revered quite a lot, seeing how many people have showed up to the studio to watch this game. Another match to look forward to in Group B would be a potential match between Sharp and Best. The loss you suffered at the hands of Sharp on the 1st of April 2024 must feel like it wasn't true. It must be ingrained in your memory as having been a lie. Looks to me you need to get payback today. Oh, I lose my mind when playing Sharp. If we do end up meeting today, the priority will be to get a grip. I lost last time, so maybe today is my turn to win. And in contrast, Sharp has good memories of playing Best last year. You have a lot you want to show. You said you want to dunk on these guys. If you meet Best today, will you be able to revive that memory? Best plays extremely well. I just want to play a fun match. Speed, you've beaten Best before as well. Oh, a bit of an awkward smile coming from Best there. Today we have a lineup of players that have given Best and Best alone some harsh lessons in the past. Speed, what are you smiling about? When I first qualified, he did crush me, but he's also a player who allowed me to unblock the flow of energy. Oh, you're saying he cleared your meridians. Interesting phrasing. I'm curious to see if having your acupoints opened will let you move on to the round of 8 today. Let's hear the player's final words of resolution. Sharp, seeing it's my first game on stage in a while, I'll do my best and play well without regrets. Thank you. Good. Speed? Rather than thinking about advancing, I'll focus on showing good games. Can't wait. Jaydong? I'll make sure to get to the round of 8 this time. Got it. Best? These guys, well, I keep losing to them recently. I'll turn that matchup into a winning one. Good. Looking forward to great games from the 4 of you as we wrap this interview up. Thanks. You're waiting for Group B of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6, as we wonder which two will stay alive and live to fight another day in the round of 8. Let's kick things off and fight out.
What up, everybody? We're here in day 2 in the round of 16. To be clear, it's Group B, an all-star group we've got going on here. Each of the races is going to be represented. Finally, we got a Protoss back here with Best. But, of course, our Terrans and Jaydong are looking very strong as well. It's a tough group to call who's going to move out.
It really is. I think everyone has a pretty decent chance. I actually put Jaydong kind of low as far as the chance to move out. And I do question Sharp choosing Speed first. Sharp historically has had really strong Terran versus Terran. He's even done things like beaten Flash and Flash's Prime in TVT. He takes games off light and everything. He's definitely always been one of the stronger TVT players. But Speed is such a rising star right now, much more so even than Barracks. And that latter TVT man, we saw him in that previous group. Like, he just routed everybody.
And that's after having some pretty rough seasons. He seems to have come back and completely improved, not letting the spectacle of ASL get to him. He did have some embarrassing games in the past. He looks good. He's another Terran that could absolutely take out players that we might have otherwise expected to move on. Sharp, Jaydong, Best are all players who have been extremely accomplished. As far as the recent era, especially Sharp and Best, both looking good. Best, in any given day, he can beat anybody, but he doesn't seem to perform that well in ASL. We were talking about Sulky and how he should have won an ASL. Well, he's done it 3 times, and he might very well do it a 4th time, but it hasn't happened yet with Best. So, very interested to see how he's going to perform here today. Jaydong has somebody, we would lump him in the same category as like, Bisu or even Flash back in the day. Bisu has managed to actually rise to the occasion and consistently be one of the strongest Protosses in the world. Jaydong in the world of Zerg has not quite gotten there. He's gotten close. He's had seasons where he looks very good, but he hasn't been able to be consistent. And so this is going to be an extremely important group. And I think, frankly, he may be the weakest guy out of the 4 players, Tastosis. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely possible to look at it that way. I do think Jaydong is in pretty good shape right now, but his Zerg versus Terran is always suspect to me. But honestly, like, these 2 Terrans, it's a little bit more reasonable. Like, I think Jaydong is really weak against the Terrans that are super good at SK Terran, like Light or Rush, let's say. And he's much better against technical Terrans, which I would definitely include Speed in that group. So I really can see anything happening with Jaydong. I think it's really up to him how well he plays today. But it's a really close group. I think it's very hard to predict this. And I'm kind of on board with you with Best. I think Best has the most unbelievable stretch of being one of the strongest Protosses in the world. It's something like 17 years in a row he's been one of the very best Protosses. And I could see him winning this group, but I could also see him falling out.
Yeah. In every conceivable matchup that we could have, I really feel like it's close to 50-50.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, as an example, the round of 24, we actually had the results pretty straightforward, right? The 2 best players always advanced. However, the games are very close. They were very exciting.
Yeah.
Here, I think that the games could look any possible way. Should be neck and neck. Like, I think at most somebody's maybe at a 6-4 matchup as far as favoring somebody. But
yes, exactly. That's what I think, too.
Yeah.
I think it's like mostly 50-50 or 55-45. With the only one I give 60-40 to is Sharp against Jaydong. Like, that's the only one where I'm like, ooh, I think this one goes this way. But yeah, everything else I think is super close. Like, the matchup between these 2, I have no idea. Best of 1 between Sharp and Speed. I mean, I want to see it. I'll sign up to watch that all day. But I have no idea which way this is going to go. And that's why I think this was a weird pick for Sharp, who got 2nd pick.
Yeah. Sharp is... He's been very strong. He's had moments where he's kind of risen to the top of Terrans and then sank back down. But, with his own unique style and approach to the game. Also, he seems to be extremely comfortable in the studio. This is going to be a great match because Speed has also improved so much. Both these guys very hungry. The last couple seasons, Sharp has looked, very, very eager to kind of get deep, and he has done that here. So, I don't know, man. We already had some great TVTs. I'm ready for another good one here now.
Dude, Sharp's t-shirt, live free or die. That's the New Hampshire state motto. He knows I'm watching. Taze is my favorite Terran player. Let's go.
Okay, Speed here in the bottom left, Sharp sharing the bottom of the map with him in the bottom right.
Okay, I feel really conflicted, Tasteless. Let me lay this out for you real quick, okay? Sharp has been, continues to be my favorite Terran player to watch. Like, he is, I just love his style. I'm very much a vulture guy that loves to harass with vultures and get vultures in. And Sharp has just been that since Remaster came out. He's been like the Terran that I've kind of looked to as like, this is how I actually want to play. I practice to play like Flash, but I want to play like Sharp. It's like that type of thing.
Yeah, totally.
And I love his play, but at the same time, I see what's wrong with it. So sometimes I undersell how good he is because I kind of know what can go wrong for him. And then we have Speed, and I feel like I'm some sort of inside trader with Speed. Like I do so much casting of StarCraft. I watch so many games and everything and talk about and stream it all the time. And like, I feel like I'm trying to like sell Speed almost too hard because he's so good right now. And so now they're playing against each other. And I'm like, I'm having one of those Team Liquid fanboy moments. I'm like, who do I cheer for? Like, who do I want to win this? Like, I really don't know. Like, this could go either way, and I'm completely both happy and sad.
Sure, yeah. I mean, these are two Terran players it's hard to not be a fan of. Sharp's actually been one of my favorite Terrans. Since the very early days of ASL, I always kind of gravitated to his approach to the game. I thought he's made it very exciting. I appreciate his charisma, and also he was kind of doing yoga during the big yoga phase in Korea. I feel like, I mean, people obviously yoga's big and everybody does it, but I felt like yoga for a while, it was like everybody was doing it, and he lost a bunch of weight and got to a finals in that shape. That was a fun time, long time ago. But Speed, you know, he was one of these guys, he could have just been in the background. He could have been one of the extras in Star Trek where he dies at, you know, at the start of every episode, and we kind of move on with the story. And instead, he's moved close to the front and center here. He's had humiliating losses. He's been really beaten up in some games where you got to wonder, can a player like that even come back from this? And he has. So I really respect that. And I'm excited for this season to see how he'll perform.
Me too, for sure. I think that Speed is going to be a round of 8 guy. Like, I don't know how high he's going to rise. Like, he definitely could be someone who wins a championship. But, like, him and Barracks are the two guys to watch right now that are, like, really... They're changing their stars tasteless, just like the greatest movie ever, A Knight's Tale. But they're, like... they're improving so much at this point, and I love that a ladder Terran is doing what Speed is doing, because he's, like, the #1 ladder player, and he has been for a long time now. Because we haven't had that happen in the past. A lot of our other ladder Terrans have failed pretty badly. Like Ride Sky, for instance, still hasn't been in ASL. So, looking forward to seeing that.
I want to clarify what you're talking about here, because people might not understand what you're saying, because a lot of people might say, well, don't they all just play on the ladder? You know, aren't all the ASL players just the guys at the very, very top of the ladder? In fact, a lot of the very best players, like, you know, the round of 8 guys, or, you know, you can say like round of 16 even, a lot of them are just in these spawn bong matches, which means they're just playing fund-raised money matches, you know, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars a week going into these things. And so they don't ladder as much as they just play, I guess you could say, smaller televised matches. Maybe big streamed matches is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, you know, players like Mini or Light, their games are not even really in the ladder ecosystem.
Yeah, and, you know, some players aren't able to do that as much, so they just play a lot of ladder. And Speed, like, in the top 10 ladder accounts, he had, like, 6 accounts last season. So, like, the guy is just grinding insanely. And that's, like, #1, #2, #5, #7, something like that. It was absolutely crazy. But, like, we saw that reflected. Ladder Terrans just play TVT differently because they play so much more TVT than a top guy like Sharp. So... That's why I'm like, I don't know if you should really be choosing him, but let's see. He does poke in with these two. He's looking to pick off the Marines so that his barracks lives longer. But, you know, you got to be careful here, because if you overcommit, Sharp will do those moving shots. But he brings his own 2 Marines down, and it's still going to be very Sharp favored, it looks like. That was
decent control
really
here
well
by Speed, but Sharp comes out on top.
Yeah.
To what you were saying, Tastosis, when you get these guys that are just ladder Terrans, or just laddering in general, you know, because everybody uses barcodes for their names, basically capital I, lowercase l, sometimes exclamation points in there, it's a way to hide your identity a little bit easier when you're queuing up against people. So players tend to open up not with a build order versus a specific player, but versus a specific rank.
Yeah, and it's just like you get a bit more practice in the matchup. People don't pay to watch TVTs as much. Now, Speed, did I just see that Speed had mines? No, right? Like, that was Sharp that had mines, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, so Sharp actually has mines right now. And this is a 2-factory Vulture into Goliath opener. So this is like, this is a build that I know very well. This is a popular ladder build because it's very robust. This doesn't really die to anything. And he goes into the starport. This is the most standard follow-up to that 2-factory. And there's, like, a lot of ways this can go. You can go Wraith off this, but you can also go Dropship and just kind of, like, harass. Early Goliath drops are actually surprisingly strong still. I don't know if you remember, Tastosis, but back in, like, maybe 2006 or 2007, Goliath drop was, like, the strongest TVT build for the opener, which was such a weird thing to, like, emerge. But it's actually still pretty good to do. Not the best thing, but it can be useful.
Well, Goliaths can kind of fight in small areas, especially if you have like 3 or 4 of them. And they're fine against SCVs. They're pretty microable. You know, Goliaths get weird around ramps, but generally you can control them pretty well. And so they're pretty handy. Plus, you can't counter drop them. If they try to drop your drop, you just pick that off. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's I mean, it's not surprising at all. Oh my God! Okay,
yeah,
gotta be careful because sometimes
Sorry.
if you have enough mines stacked, no, it's okay. If you have enough mines stacked here, they can't shoot them all down. But the Goliath shot is instantaneous. It doesn't have to. It's not like a bullet, like a shell from the vulture has to connect with the mine. It just has to fire, and then that second it hits the target. So.
Ooh.
Luckily, he shoots it down in time.
Yeah. Sharp, by the way, is making another barracks. So he made one because he lost it, but he actually started a second one. So that was definitely a mistake. He's not trying to go bio or anything here, guys. That is not a thing. But yeah, that's like a little bit of a flub there from Sharp. Not the end of the world, but obviously he wants to add some factories right now. He does have double add-on. He's making more tanks. When your opponent does this type of build, generally, this is the smart thing to do, is just get your tank production pretty consistent, because the add-ons are pretty late with the build Speed is doing, so they will be down on tanks a little bit, and they're looking to make up for that with, for instance, the Goliath drop going around and getting some damage.
Okay, that drop is inbound now. Sharp did see it. I think he's sending stuff back. Oh my God, there's a mine here. Hold on.
Awesome.
Oh! I think 2 Goliaths got hit with a mine. Perfectly placed.
And a mine brings Goliaths down to 1 health if it hits directly. So that's
right.
That's really, really nice. Yeah, and right now Speed is adding 3 more factories. I really like that play. That's actually been trending a little bit on the ladder. A lot of players I've been hitting have been going up to 5 factory play and really battling for control early on. A lot of like barracks floating out in the center. Like you lose your barracks and make a second and send it out immediately. To try to help kind of spot where stuff is so you can push around. But honestly, right now, looking at the game, this is like really even positions. It doesn't feel like anyone's winning right now. They're just both playing like a very nice, solid game. Positionally, that third base could be a little bit harder for Speed to take, and you can see there's some mines in his way, so he's going to have to come up and clear this. But don't forget, the ramp goes down towards Sharp, so he has to take kind of a more forward position to get that. But it does allow the possibility of drops into that back of the base of Sharp. And you can see he's already got a tank there and some mines.
So for now, Speed's going to push into this position here. Another barracks is going to go down. This will be the 3rd barracks Sharp will have to make here. Or no, you said he was making 2, right? He didn't cancel that other one?
He did end up canceling it. I guess he shouldn't have, though,
okay,
right?
So,
because it's already dead again. That's annoying.
Should have had a backup one over there. And so, they're both taking through 3rd bases right now. I don't think Speed has any way to interrupt the 3rd base. I do like the position that Speed expanded to. I think this gives him great access to drop in the main.
Yeah.
Remember that the mains are huge on this map, and drops into the main are very, very strong in TVT. Main drops in this matchup stronger than they are in a lot of other matchups.
For sure.
And speaking of that, it looks like we're going to have 3 drop ships come in here now. Now, you don't have to drop on the edge. You can drop right in the middle, but it's a lot of terrain to try to get through. So there is a bunch of mines out here. I'm curious how exactly Speed's going to... Oh, he's so smart. He just scans it, of course.
And he'll drop... The mines. Yeah, he drops like 1 tank here. He's trying to get the mine to hit.
He's trying to be Snow.
Yeah, he's trying to be Snow. That's exactly it. But Terrans don't have that much practice with that, so that doesn't end up quite working for him. He loses the tank. But you know what? He's got this big threat, and now Sharp has to make sure it's like, okay, we have to make some additional turrets, make sure we have a tank back here, make sure we're laying some mines. So that is a little bit annoying. Like, there's a lot of flexibility with how Speed can move around right now, whereas Sharp is kind of focusing a little bit more heavily, I think, on securing his upgrades and just macroing out pretty cleanly.
So the dropships are now going to come up through the top. And it looks like he's going to go for this 3rd base. Again, if it's too well guarded, he could just turn this to another drop and go into the main from the other angle. That may be too risky, but I don't think there's going to be anything down here. In fact, I think he is going to thread that needle, just barely avoiding these turrets. And maybe he can drop up here at the ramp or maybe in the SCV line.
I don't think he's going to find anything with these. Like, he's just going to have to get out of here. He's lucky that Sharp hasn't made that many Goliaths. I actually think that a strong thing to do against this particular build is to get Goliath range pretty quickly so that when they're trying things like this, you can punish. Because as you can see, he's not being punished, even though, dude, he's flying over on this side of the map all day long, you know? And you really want to kind of say, like, no, this is not going to be something you're allowed to do. Oh, that's kind of a cute... You see that little setup there? 2 Goliaths and a siege tank on the high ground. That, like, can intercept drops a little bit, but also maybe deny that 4th base location for a little bit. That's cool. And he does end up punishing a little bit. He gets one of the drop ships there.
So, oh, we do have Wraith Tech coming up here for Sharp. I don't see double starport, though. But we've had this be a pretty big theme in the round of 16 and the many TVTs we've had already where, you know, it seems even but one player throws down double starport, techs into Wraiths with Cloak, or maybe even Wraiths with Valkyrie, and has a lot of success with it. By the way, Speed is looking like he might bust. I think there's been enough of a distraction here in the top right that now Speed can come down here. He can throw some mines down and just shell these tanks in his vicinity.
Ooh.
Looking really good.
If he can curve up and right here just a little bit and stop the direct reinforcement route, he can probably kill off that 4th base while he's taking his own 4th behind. Sharp now is going to counterattack towards that 4th base, but I think that's mostly vultures. Okay, there's a fair amount of tanks in there, so he has some real potential to bust up that 4th base of Speed as well.
So the vultures are going to leave this position. He's going to come up here. He's going to see that Sharp's trying to run around him. It's a funny situation where it looked for a second like Speed was going to surround Sharp, and then Sharp pulled out and went wide and over, and now he's in some ways surrounding Speed here. Speed's going to secure this base over at 9 o'clock. And I got to say that Sharp, I like the spread. It could be a little bit too flimsy. This is a very, very wide diagonal position to hold. It's not exactly sealed up in the center either if you wanted to have vultures run by there and maybe go up to the top right. Instead, he's going to push through here onto the right side, leapfrogging siege tanks and probably scanning to try to get that early shot off.
Yeah, and it looks like he will be able to eliminate at least a couple tanks here, maybe? Oh, he loses a couple as well. Still kind of roaming in the center. You can see Sharp is kind of arcing over Speed now. So he's, you know, he was pushed back a little bit on the bottom, but he's pushing towards the left on the top. And these are the types of positions that'll be really strong, but not yet in this game. You can see he's very light on the tanks up here, and Speed uses this opportunity to clear as much as he can, and he's mostly just losing vultures, which really, they're just here to tank at this point.
Yeah, vultures in some ways are there to just absorb shots. Occasionally, you know, after a tank has been shot twice, you can pick it off. +2's done, by the way. I think that is for Speed. I could be wrong. It's possible it's done on both sides as well. No, I'm sorry. I flipped it. Sharp has +2. Speed is still on +1. +2 attack really changes the game when it's Silver's +1 or +0 because you can 2-shot tanks. And it looks like Speed, through this pretty cool little setup, is going to deny this command center at the top right. So it's 4 bases to 3. Although, as I say that, I see Sharp is expanding up into 12 o'clock. So right now, Sharp is in a little bit of an unstable spot. He's going to have to try to take out this little foothold in the top right. And while that's happening, this could be a really good time for Speed to try to break one of these positions.
Yeah, this is like, that is such a big brain patient move he did. Like, those 3 dropships did nothing for him, but he dropped that little drop off, and now it's paying huge dividends. Like, Sharp has to focus on that. His 4th base is super slowed down, and look at, as soon as he deals with that, we just see Speed push through the center. And if you control more ground in Terran versus Terran, it's almost more important than base count, because you can just, you know, shift your army into these other directions where your opponent can't reinforce very quickly. So Sharp is kind of like finding his footing. He's getting a couple more bases up with SCVs there, but like, I feel like the center map presence for Speed is quite a bit better right now.
D-Matrix on the Vulture. You don't see that very often, but I kind of like it, actually. Oh, my God. That paired with the mines, I think I've never... That was so cool to see.
Yeah, yeah. Wait till you see
that
someone D-Matrix
really, wow.
a mine tasteless. It's a very rare occurrence, but it happens sometimes.
But, yeah, I forget you can D-Matrix a mine when it pops up. Can you D-Matrix it, sorry, before it burrows and then it pops back up with the Matrix on it?
Yep. In very specific circumstances, sometimes you can do that, and they're like, "Oh no," because they can't kill it in time. But yeah, that was kind of a cute move there, but doesn't pay off that much. Sharp does hold on to that base, but the thing is, look at how big the spread of Sharp is. Speed has this kind of like small tempo advantage right now, where he's just kind of going back and forth. Now Sharp has a lot of drop ships, so he has some big counterattack potential, but he can't lose these positions.
Yeah, a big push coming down here from Speed. Now, they're even in base distribution. We have no more expansions that can be taken in the map, except for the little measly one in the middle, which will only play a big role here if they start to mine out. But what Speed's going to do is he's going to try to seal up the entrance to where all the factories are. Because all production's in the bottom right, if he can contain him there, he can then divide and conquer, wiping out the other bases in the top end right, I should say.
That's one of the strongest ways to play Terran versus Terran, and you just utilize like dropship plus a massive army to do that. If Sharp has to use dropships to defend the bases, that becomes really hard. You know, since we are about max supply, it can be done if you make a lot of missile turrets and a lot of siege tanks, but you know, that's going to give Speed like a lot more flexibility with how he can play the game.
So he's going to push up now. He needs to get that command center started up again. Just buying time with these vultures. Seems like there's a little bit of a crack in the defenses where Speed's contain is outside of Sharp's natural expansion. Sharp's got a ton of drop ships. And now that I'm looking at the minimap, I realize there are no turrets in the main that's been taken at the top left. In fact, it's just a vulture. I thought that was a turret up there. So this is a pretty big blind spot. And it's going to be really hard for Sharp to control this. I think that's 5 drop ships, which is a lot. Keep in mind, not only can you take this position, I guess he didn't actually either fill them all up or doesn't want to unload everything there, but you can siege up on the high ground. They can't take the natural now. And again, it's like a game of Go, man. They just keep trying to surround each other and engulf each other. This prompts Speed to do a huge counterattack here, and a surprisingly small amount of tanks are actually protecting this area. So this is big, because if he can get here, if he can get to those factories, it's going to be massive. And he's going to drop on top of here. Oh my God, this actually could be game-ending. The drop of the drop, Artosis.
This has been one of the best TVTs we've seen in ASL. Like, this is so high level from both sides.
He can't get it to unload. He can't get the red dropships to unload.
Everything.
They're like stuck. If you tell all the dropships to unload in the same spot, they won't do it. You have to space them out and click it down. I assume they've actually been emptied out now. So this is going to, I think this actually might be game over, because he can't make tanks. He's going to lose the factories with the add-ons. If he lifts them off, he has to remake the add-ons. That's not enough time.
And there's enough resources that are being mined right now by Speed that he can power up enough units to just break through everything else, no matter how many units are still out on the map. This was a beautiful counterattack, because Sharp actually started to find his rhythm. He got up to his 5 bases. He dropped top left to deny Speed additional bases. And, you know, he was doing a great job. That's why he only unloaded a few units. He realized, oh, God, I'm going to be counterattacked. And that is exactly what has happened here. And Sharp is not going to be able to hold on just because all of his production's going to be dead. This is the #1 way to kill Terran, is you get on top of their production.
Okay, big D-Matrix over there on the tanks. GG! Sharp goes down, Speed nodding his head. He played that game really well.
Yeah,
that was really impressive, man.
I have been singing this song, like, you don't want to pick someone like Speed if you're a Terran player. He's a ladder Terran. He plays so much more Terran versus Terran than Sharp. It's not even close. Sharp is busy doing dances for balloons and playing Protosses and Zergs on show matches, and Speed is grinding the ladder, which at the top is heavily Terran. You know, there's a lot of Terran players that grind all day. This guy plays so much TVT. And I think you see it there, because Sharp did not play poorly. He played a very strong game there, but Speed still outdid him.
Love seeing it here. So when I saw this drop up here, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this might be the moment where Sharp can kind of take this. He doesn't even have to, like, by the way, occupy this top left area with command centers. All he has to do is siege up units and keep dropping the drop that Speed's inevitably going to do. So when I saw the drop chips down here for Speed, I thought, okay, well, he's going to try to fight for the top left. But he did, he saw the yin and yang moment. He said, well, if there's enough stuff being dropped up there, there's probably an imbalance and a weakness somewhere else, and that's where this was. And this was a knife right to the heart,
dude. That was
of Sharp.
That was
he just
beautiful.
Came right. Look at this spot. And then there was a part. I think we're going to get it on screen here. Yeah, the drop ships come down. I think he clicked unload all in one spot. See how they kind of
there's nowhere for them to
merged
unload
together as one drop ship.
Yeah.
I think there was nowhere to unload, and so they started. By the way, I think even if they did unload, he wins this.
Yeah.
But they seemed to get stuck.
That was
and
just
so he just couldn't get it out.
And I got to point out again, he's wearing wristbands, a true ladder Terran. Okay, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jaydong versus Best.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
Welcome back, everybody. It's finally my turn. Finally, we get a Protoss player to cast.
All right.
And what a matchup, too. Jaydong versus Best. Best of one going into this, and Speed awaiting the winner of this match. I would put this at like a 55-45. Like Jaydong slightly unfavored, but
okay.
You know, he's very good at crushing Protosses. I think, and you know, Best I think is probably a little bit of a stronger player in general, but he just sometimes isn't strong in ASL. I'm still waiting for him to be the kind of guy that can master navigating a multi-week league like this.
It's weird, isn't it? He's been such a strong player for so long, and he just can't quite do it in ASL. And you know, we'll see. Like when he played against Mind, right? The same build 5 games in a row. It's like, damn, man. Like you got to mix up a little bit in a tournament. But he is super stable. I'm actually a big fan of his Protoss for Zerg. He uses Dark Archons more regularly than anyone else. He really understands the positions to get those, and he won't skip it if he thinks he might need it. So I feel like that maybe leaves some aggressive options a little bit harder to utilize for Jaydong. So not really sure how this one's going to go. I think it is a pretty close match, but yeah, I do favor Best just slightly here.
Yeah. Jaydong, you know, he's shown really scary mid-game PvZ. Actually, we're going to go into this game. I'll save it for the actual cast. Guys, get ready. PvZ coming up here as we continue on in Group B of the ASL. Okay, Jaydong spawning in the bottom left. Best, excuse me, and Best spawning here in the top left. Guys, you know the routine. We always do 2 plugs here in the ASL. This is the first one. Consider signing up. Consider supporting us. If you love StarCraft, we're here because of you. We're here because of your love and your ability to make this possible. So sign up for the Patreon. We want to do this forever. We don't ever want to stop. And I don't think we really have to stop because StarCraft 1 is so big in Korea and ASL does so well. Anyways, I'm rambling. Sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for the support. I actually want to throw out like a PVZ, I guess, hypothetical in a way. So like in TVP, there's like a rotation for Protoss, whether you're going to make a Zealot or not, where it goes up and down in popularity. And I feel like that trend matches how often we see gasless expansion from Terran, because there will be months where like it's 80% gasless expansion from strong Terran players, and then like more quick Zealots come out, and that goes down towards factory expansion, right? And it's just kind of this back and forth that kind of exists. And then like I feel like I've seen more Ling Floods from Zerg against Protoss in the last couple of weeks since Jaydong beat Stork with that than I've seen in a very long time. Is there something with Protoss where like you try to greed your opener as hard as you can, but you get safer as more Ling Floods come? Is there like a reason for this? Oh god.
Let's
yeah.
let's
well, we
talk
don't
about
need to
this
talk
real
about
quick
that
because-
anymore.
And I'll bring this up later if this goes on. So he's going to do the cannon rush. 3 more drones are being pulled. Now you can fit this in here. He can try to do an extractor trick and pop one over. The answer to that is okay.
Yeah.
He does get one over, but he puts a pylon here. Now he has to kill the drone that is trying to surf on top of that. He cancels it. He makes the cannon. He surfs his probe out.
Wow.
This is insane. This is so hard to do. A drone does get over to the other side. I don't believe that's enough time, though. One drone almost dead. He can use the 2 probes now to zone this out. He's going to try to come back around and probably fill up this backside with cannons.
Ooh.
One probe getting stuck. He gets shot down. He needs to throw some more Oh, is he going to go back around to the other side?
Oh
Okay,
my
blocks
god,
him
he
in. That
locked
was
the drones
insane.
in. That
Oh
is
my
crazy.
God. He's going to throw the cannons down. He's going to come in here for the block. He has to block the sunken colony. He does. He's going to come back. He's going to make a...
Dude, he
God.
evacuated the drone with an extractor trick. Oh my god.
God.
Best is really the best cannon rusher, and he actually has cannon rushed in ASL far more times than anyone else, and you can see
Does he have
why.
cannons back at home?
He is
Does
god
he have
tier.
cannons back at home?
Yeah, he has 1 cannon. He has 1 cannon.
Okay. He has room for a second cannon. He can kill this one that's morphine if he shoots it and it hits it with the probe. Okay, he cancels it. He's going to keep this one back here. This is a really tough call. And in fact, right now, Jaydong is not going to go and try to take this out. The sunken colony, this is a really weird bug. It can shoot further than it can attack if you micro it right. If you like attack their pylon, or you can attack another building. I think you can even do it with your own building.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but the pylon's gone. This is still here.
Yeah, he did mess that up, so he didn't get to kill that, but the Lings will be able to kill this cannon. So he will be able to clear that, but he forced 2 Sunkens and a ton of Zerglings there.
Okay, so you know, sometimes Brood War is so technical, the weird bugs and the things you can do, I almost can't get the words out fast enough.
Yeah.
If you attack their pylon and then I think it hit stop or something, it'll fire one more shot that's further range than the pylon is.
Yeah, I think it's
and
a
the pylon has more
retarget.
HP.
Yeah, if
something
I recall
like that.
correctly, yeah.
Sorry guys, there's a Terran and a Zerg. A Terran and Protoss casting a Zerg thing mechanically here. So if you're able to do that, the pylon has more HP than the cannon, so the cannon will eventually die. That's what we were trying to get at. Either way, a bunch of Lings were forced. There's a big Ling counterattack, and I don't think they can get in there. There's no speed done yet, and slow Lings, you can kind of always hold that off if you got enough stuff. Best feeling pretty confident he was able to stalk the Zerglings and figure out, you know, if his speed is done and if he's coming at him. So he doesn't have to block with probes here. He can just stay back. Jaydong does stabilize. He's expanding. Whenever you do a cannon rush, by the way, really, you need to kill the hatchery. If you can kill the hatchery, you're in great shape. If not, it's a little uncomfortable. Like, yeah, the Zerg does end up making a lot of extra Zerglings, but you also have your Nexus later, so the game becomes very weird, and every failed cannon rush game is a little bit different from the next one because, you know, it depends on how many probes they were able to squeeze out, how many Lings was Zerg forced to make, how many drones were killed, all that.
Would you say then that Jaydong is ahead here?
All 4 drones were killed, right?
No.
In the rush? Or maybe one actually got out.
Yeah, no, he popped that drone out, and then he made 2 sunks. Like, I don't...
That's right.
Yeah, I think he basically
so then I think
saved
Jaydong
the drones.
maybe is slightly ahead.
Slightly ahead?
Slightly ahead,
Okay.
then. Yeah.
But,
if you kill the hatchery, you pretty much win the game. But, yeah. You need to keep both of the probes that are harassing alive. One has to throw extra cannons down, and the other one has to block the creep colony starting. And so he lost 1 probe, so he wasn't able to pull it off. To go back to what you were asking me earlier before this really interesting cannon rush happened, basically on each map, Protoss has to figure out if Zerg's expanding and then where Zerg's expanding, while also keeping track of the Zerglings. And there's a lot of ways to psych out or outmaneuver Protoss players with the probe. It's why when you're teaching somebody to play the game, you teach them to never lose the probe. It's unacceptable unless Ling speed is out, because then you just can't run away.
Yeah.
And that's why you can see, even in this instance here, this is, you know, illustrated right here. Best is so good at keeping the probe alive and monitoring, do you have Zergling speed? Clearly not, because this is still alive. Looks like Jaydong finally comes in there and gets the kill. But in some of these games where, like, as an example, Zerg might take a 3rd base at 6 o'clock on this map, but they could also take a natural at the bottom right, which would be a very different game. Sometimes you need to try to confirm that. And when you're trying to confirm that, that's a great moment to try to run Lings around. Or like in the game versus Stork, he just chased it back and literally did like a big C, like letter C shape move around the scout so that the Protoss just wasn't ready. That's how Stork got killed.
Yeah. Well, right now, Jaydong is just kind of macroing heavily here, getting all those additional hatcheries. So he's going to be up on 6 hatch. He's got a few Scourge out here to push back those Corsairs some. Second Stargate, Tasteless. We're seeing the second Stargate here from Best. So 2 Stargate Corsair. Is his read correct? Are we going to see Mutalisk out of Jaydong? Because I feel like if you do this and they're not going Mutas, Protoss loses very, very often.
I do feel like, oh my god, he lost one. Now, the Scourge did not see the second Stargate. Their vision is very poor. Well, he is going to go for Mutalisks. I don't know how he knew that or if he did know that. But yeah, if you can actually see... Oh, by the way, Jaydong spots it.
Yes.
If you see the second Stargate, Mutas are just not a useful thing to have in this because you're kind of feeding into the counter. I have seen games where Zergs will try to go like Mass Scourge because they already committed and hope they can like flank or surround the Corsairs. But in theory, if both players play perfectly, I think the Corsair player is in a little bit of an advantage.
Definitely agree with you on that, because if they do start to clear things, they can get a lot of overlords. The one thing that gets really scary is it opens up a bigger window for like a pre-storm Hydralisk bust timing on Protoss, where you're on 6 hatch really pumping a lot of Hydras. And if you can hit right before storm, you know, that makes the Corsairs that much weaker. And we see that Jaydong, you know, he's already got his 6 hatches. He's got an insanely good drone count. And he just finished his Hydralisk den. So I think he's definitely going to be attempting to make a bunch of Hydras and push in here. And I like how he's trying to utilize these Mutas and trying to be like, yes, make Corsairs. You know, I'm still bringing up Scourge. Keep making those Corsairs, because the more Corsairs you're making, the harder it is to squeeze out High Templars with Sidestorm.
There's only 5 Mutas out. And 5, by the way, 5, it's a tricky number to tell if it's like less or more. If you know what I'm saying, when the Mutas stack on each other because you have an Overlord in the control group. My brother had this really smart move. He said the easiest way to tell how many Mutas are in the group is to check the darkness of the shadow underneath the Mutas. Because the darker it is, the more units are stacked inside of it. I thought that was a really smart way to kind of hack that situation. So he's going to come out with speed lots and a lot of Corsairs. So this isn't the mini style where we have 2 Stargate into like a really fast DT cheese. This is going to be like an insane amount of Corsairs and enough Zealots that the Hydras have to do some work. They have to defend themselves first and foremost. And so Overlords can get massacred. Zerg, if they hold this, is going to have to be with a really, really tricky flank. So he's got the Scourge in sort of a weird position. Is this going to connect?
Well, he actually gets
oh
his
my
Overlord
God. Jaydong
speed
has so
during
many
this.
Hydras?
Yeah, yeah. He also has a Sunken in there, and you know he's macroing so heavily off of the 6 hatches. This is going to be a little bit hard for Best, I feel like. Look at that big supply from Jaydong. Like he has a large army at the moment, and if Best doesn't already have some High Templars out here, okay, he does have at least one that I can see.
I'm a little scared for Best.
Yeah.
Jaydong has mustered a lot of units. And, you know, we've cast a lot of games like this where the Corsairs, they're like kind of scary for a little bit, but then the ground army for Zerg kicks in. And if you dodge a couple storms, you can overpower them.
Well, that's, I think, what he's going to be going for.
I don't see why this game would be that different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like that's the direction we're going in here.
It just makes sense against 2 Stargate Corsair. But he is moving out with a ton of Hydras right now. The Zealot's going to try to kind of draw them in some different directions, running away, threatening counterattacks. There's a single DT out there, but Overlord's speed is done, so if he keeps track of where that DT is, shouldn't be too much trouble.
Okay, so the Mutas can do the same thing even with Corsairs at a number this high. They can still snipe the Templars. If the Corsairs aren't there to protect the Templars, you're in the same predicament. And I don't see the Corsairs here.
Ooh.
I still don't see them, man. Like, where are they? He's going to go for the Templars again. Looks like he barely gets a snipe with the Hydra and then runs away. Sorry, where are the Corsairs on the map? Is that the middle?
Yeah, they're over on the right.
To the right of that?
Yeah, that's them right there. But yeah, Jaydong does eliminate a couple of the High Templars, but moves back. This is not his full Hydra force. But, you know, the gas is tight right now. He's had to make a lot of Corsairs, you know, focusing on upgrades. He's switching in Dragoons and making sure he gets some detection.
Oh my
and
God.
The Lurker upgrade is ready. He makes an egg right there. Ooh, really nice from Best to catch some of those. But, you know, Jaydong, I feel like he's actually playing a step ahead of Best here. Like, the fact that he
looks
already...
stronger than Best.
Yeah. Like, he picked off the 2 High Templars. Okay, great. He didn't overcommit. Like, he really worked hard to scout the second Stargate so he didn't overcommit. And yeah, like he could make eggs there to just trap these in there and kill them off. And now he's going into Lurkers. So he's like forcing Best to do more and more and more.
I can't believe how good Jaydong looks. By the way, we saw earlier he had an Overlord over the eggs too, just making it harder to get in there. Jaydong is a god right now. He looks so strong. Best will lose these Zealots, but he's doing a really good job buying time. Keep in mind those Lurker eggs will eventually... hatch. He might be able to run out then, but I think they're too low on HP anyways. Behind this, Best has gotten a 3rd base up. I don't know if Jaydong can get up there and hit it or not. These, 12, 6, 3, and 9, they're all pretty fortifiable if you have cannons and Templars there. It's pretty hard to break it, but, I mean, right now, Jaydong has more supply than Best, so if Best isn't prepared or really hunkered down in a safe position, Jaydong could overwhelm him.
Well, he's coming up with a lot of Hydras and Lurkers right now. Could put a contain up, but, you know, that is a very small choke to kind of push through. And he actually puts a contain at the end of the choke, so that kind of makes some sense. It's a lot more surface area. Going to be harder to storm your way through this, but a very nice first storm there from Best.
I think this is a DT drop. Yeah, probably a DT drop with the Corsairs here. He's going to pick this one up, taking advantage of those huge mains. But, man, Jaydong is just on top of everything. 3 Zealots in a DT. He could try to slip that DT by. The Corsairs are getting shot down now. I think there's only 2 more left in this game.
Jaydong's defense just looking superb. I love that he left some units up there. You know, sometimes Jaydong plays a little bit too aggressive at times and just tries to push an advantage, but I love how he's playing this game. He's playing it a little bit further back. And in fact, he doesn't even have like a full contain up here, doesn't try to keep it. So he is going to run back, but he doesn't have any really great zoned area right now. Looks like those units from the containment are going to run to the bottom right, and a DT from Best is going to slip into the main base.
Sorry. The DT gets inside the base. It looks like it's going to be shot down. He's going to try to run over here to the side. He might just barely have enough HP to get away. He does not. Whenever you see a shuttle come out for Protoss, whether it's Zealots, DTs, or just Zealots and a DT, they're trying to break the contain, which Best did do. Now, Best has to be careful here to not overextend. Basically, throw some storms down, use hold position, spread the Dragoons out, and then go back and macro up again.
Well, Jaydong attacks into that. He's actually up quite a bit of supply, but Best is taking a very good battle. As long as he doesn't overcommit, he does have some good storms in here, throws another good one down. Oh my god, Jaydong surrounding this army. I don't think these Dragoons are making it home. Oh my god.
It's 360 degrees. The Lurkers are going to shut him down over here. I think that's probably going to be GG. Oh my god, that was the best game I've seen of Jaydong.
Holy crap.
I think since he's been back, that's the best game I've seen of him.
Actually, this form, that game reminds me, do you remember when he played, I believe it was Rain in a KSL Finals?
Yeah.
Like, that was the type of form he had at that time, where it's like, oh, damn, this is maybe championship Jaydong. That was a killer game from him.
That was incredible. Went mutas into, unbeknownst to him, a 2-star Corsair player. Managed to still kind of make it work. Mustered enough Hydras. Got a contain up. Best did a pretty good job with a shuttle distraction, Zealots and DTs, to uproot the contain, which Jaydong, he ran out. He didn't suffer many losses. Best tried to commit to a push, and I mean, the surround was completely insane. We're going to a break, guys. Or no, we're not. We're going to go break a second, sorry. But Jaydong looks so strong today. I'm blown away.
He looks fantastic. Can't wait to see him against Speed. That'll be after this commercial break.
오늘 진행할 게임은
네. 이걸로 하는 거예요? 이걸로 되나? 손가락이? 엔터는 어디 있어요? 뭐야? 아닌데? 아 이거구나. 아 잠깐만요. 나 이거 안 될 것 같은데. 이거 가능한 건가? 저 바로 본 게임 했었네요. 네. 해보겠습니다. 그래도 1등 해볼게요. 잠깐만 잠시만요. 이게 집중을 좀 해야 돼가지고 이게 또 막상 하니까 또 1등 하고 싶네요. 아 이게 버릴 건 버려야 되구나. 아니 근데 이런 생각을 왜 하시는 거예요? 이걸 시키겠다는 이걸 이거 상타치 아닌가요? 그래도 이 정도면 3등이에요? 이 정도면 나쁘지 않죠. 잘했죠. 그냥 일반 키보드 쓰는 거에 감사함을 느끼겠습니다.
저희 오늘 진행할 게임은
네.
미니 게임 앞에 보이는 안경이요.
예. 뭐야? 예.
선수시니까.
네.
300.
네.
도전해 볼 건데.
이렇게 지금 이거부터 이제 50이 이제 컨트롤이죠. 이렇게 하는 거죠. 이제 실전에 해도 될 것 같아요.
일단 하시면
예.
몇 정도 나?
그래도 150은 넘을 것 같은데. 오케이, 가겠습니다. 50, 49, 48, 46, 47, 3, 2, 1. 뭐야. 이거 못하지? 진짜 부족하네요, 제가. 150점은 할 줄 알았는데. 이게 순간 잘할 줄 알았거든요. 잠깐 저도 말리니까 이게 순식간에 확 떨어지더라고요. 그래서 이게 멘탈을 잘 잡는 게 중요할 것 같습니다.
오늘 진행할 컨텐츠는 미니 게임 정보.
이걸로요?
평소에 좀 잘 하시는 편인가요?
한 번도 안 해봤어. 무조건 하루 찾으시. 저 이런 거 진짜 못하는데. 근데 어떤 느낌인지는 알 것 같아.
이제 홈 게임으로 한번.
근데 너무 안 보이는데요? 뭐야 이거? 와, 완전 안 보이는데요? 와, 클릭이 안 돼. 이래서 미니게임이군요. 진짜 이게 아예 안 보이는구나. 와 이게 진짜 숫자도 잘 안 보이고 와 어딘지 안 보이네요 이게. 와 이거 어떻게 70점 80점 나오는 거지? 와 이거 진짜 약간 그 까막눈 된 것 같은데요 진짜 아예 안 보이는데. 아 이거 스타일 때보다 어려운데? 와 뭐지? 와 아니 이게 스타가 더 쉬운데요? 근데 처음 하는데 또 미니게임으로 하니까 더 안 보여요. 아 근데 미니맵은 잘 보일 것 같아 확실히.
간단한 미니게임을 진행할 건데요.
이거 쓰면 되나요?
한번 쓰시고
뭐야?
이제 손가락 스피드 테스트인데요.
저는 근데 원래 좀 손이 빠른 걸로 원래 좀 유명해가지고 연습 한번 할 수 있나요?
네, 연습하고. 다른 선수분들은 다 장비 타다고 하셨거든요.
괜찮습니다. 이미 적응돼가지고 지금. 네. 이거 마우스 좀 세팅해도 되나요? 일단 이거 이제 안 해도 될 것 같아요.
게임 몇 정도 도전하시나요?
저는 무조건 평균 이상은 될 것 같은데요. 도전. 49, 48, 47. 마우스가 왜 이런 거를 클릭감이 좀 많이 안 좋은데요? 너무 쉬운데? 야, 꽤 빨랐던 것 같은데. 이 정도면 뭐 근데 상위권 아닌가요? 예. 그죠? 근데 역시 이제 저그가 아무래도 이제 많은 좀 피지컬을 요하다 보니까 1등 거 보니까 입증이 되는 것 같아요. 예.
결승전에서 좀 많이 후회를 했어요. 이번 시즌은 진짜 멋있는 게임으로 후회 없이 잘해보도록 하겠습니다.
일단 저번 시즌 제가 이상 탈락해서 오랜만에 16강 왔는데 그래서 만족하기는 싫거든요. 그래서 꼭 8강, 4강 가보겠습니다. 감사합니다.
16강 이번에 또 두 번째로 또 올라오게 됐는데 저희가 이번에 목표는 또 다전제 하는 게 목표라서 열심히 한번 해서 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다.
통과해서 8강 가고 싶고요. 이번 시즌 좀 느낌이 좋기 때문에 한번 기대 부탁드립니다.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. Super excited to see this TVZ. Jaydong and Speed are looking so strong.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was a little bit, I had chills after seeing that game that Jaydong just played.
Masterful.
He looked really good, but that surround, do you know how almost impossible it is to surround a 3-base push from Protoss with lurkers? And
Yeah,
Hydras?
it was impressive.
Granted, he did open with 2-port Corsair, but the the reality is, like, you never see a Protoss move out and it's almost 360 degrees of lurkers and Hydras hitting at every angle. The whole idea is that you can't surround it. When they come at you like that, you storm everything and just run back as Protoss and go back in macro. And the combination of Dragoons, Templars, and a couple of Zealots, it's just hard for Lurker Hydra to advance on it. So to see him do that tells me he's in phenomenal shape. You were saying before we started our Tastosis, TVZ, this is the matchup that Jaydong kind of struggles in compared to ZVZ or PVZ. So truly going up against Speed, who has been so ambitious, has really modernized his play, and bringing great games. This should be a real banger.
Indeed. I think this is actually a very good match between the two, and I'll get into that as we go forward. Deja Vu, Dominator, Radeon, very standard maps. I'm surprised at the Polestar ban from Jaydong, but not surprised at the Death Valley ban there from Speed. All right, let's get into it, guys. Best of 3 for the first spot out in this group.
Okay, Jaydong in the top left, Speed in the bottom right. This is not a Patreon plug here, but I just wanted to make a quick announcement. I am going to be playing in a Warcraft 3 Invitational on Grubby's stream on the 18th. I guess probably 19th, 1 a.m. KST. I don't know what time that would be for you, but look that time up. I have no idea how I'm going to perform. I've been grinding for 3 weeks. I've been streaming Warcraft 3 every day.
Yeah.
Only other StarCraft guy in it is Loco, so hopefully one of us does well for the scene.
Yeah. I think Loco could do a good job.
Best Protoss win.
Oh, Tastosis missed that one. All right. Yeah, so that's around noon Eastern time, just for people to know. Okay, so I got him, and good luck in that, Tastosis.
Thank you.
Good luck. Now, I want to mention stylistically about these two. So we were talking in yesterday's group about, I was saying how against Sulky, he's so good against SK Terran that you should probably either Marine Rush him or do a very technical build. And we saw everyone basically doing that, right? No one was trying to play Marine Medic Science Vessel against him.
Right.
His skill set, he's just so good at crushing those attacks. He's so good at the late game defending everything. Jaydong is literally the opposite. Like, Jaydong is a player that still has pretty good killer instinct, but SK Terran is very robust, very hard to kill SK Terran, which is, again, Marine Medic Science Vessel. I didn't name that. Don't let Tastosis tell you otherwise. But, like, he is someone that actually struggles with very standard, straightforward play. Like, when I see him go against that, I'm like, oh, that third base likely to go down. Whereas if you do a more technical opening, like, I feel like he has that killer instinct where, like, maybe if you open Wraith against him, he has a pretty decent shot of getting it. Or you open up with some sort of factory 1-1-1. I'm like, okay, this is where I think that Jaydong can beat anybody. So I think he's kind of the opposite of Sulky in this matchup. Now, Speed is probably our most technical Terran that's left in the tournament. You know, he plays kind of like Royal or kind of like Sock or something, where it's like a lot of like quick factory openers and stuff. And that's not what I want to see here from him. I want to see him just try to do SK Terran for the most part. And it looks like that's what he's doing, right? Like, this is just a barracks expansion, very standard, very normal. And I think that that's what Jaydong has the hardest time against.
Yeah, it's funny because when Jaydong was on top of the world as Zerg in the pre-StarCraft 2 era, that was really when SK Terran, macro style, lots of vessels, control the map, try to power, you know, kind of almost charge into the Dark Swarm, and then right when it gets down, you know, with Lurker's Burrow, run back, exhausting the Zerg. That's the era that Jaydong cut his teeth in, but I agree with you. I feel like that's the way that you're going to beat him. I would not do something super technical or tricky versus him. I feel like that's where he's going to find an opening. For whatever reason, it seems like when you get a Gargantuan Terran that's got really good control, and the moment that those vessels get over, you know, 80 energy and Irradiate is cast on something of value and escaping out immediately, that does seem to be pretty tough for him to go against. Now, Speed, I think he could do either of those styles. I think Speed's got a pretty decent range. So it's not clear what exactly we're going to have. They are in cross spawns, and I feel like this is especially when you get into mid-game, you have to know what kind of mid-game you're going to be in. And cross spawns like this make it hard because you don't know where Zerg's necessarily going to expand. I guess on this map it's a little bit easier because it's probably going to be one of the mains, but people do go for naturals now. If you're both sharing a side of the map, usually it's the side that is further away from Terran that Zerg's going to go to because going to the other main is too risky. So, yeah, I mean, I want to watch and see how Jaydong tries to develop. You know, where is that third base going to be and can he cover it? Even though there's two, I guess, obvious textbook places to go, they're on opposite sides of the map. So Terran's going to have to be checking both sides. Yeah, but let's see how Jaydong does here. Again, he looked god tier. He looked better than I've ever seen in that game back there. I was blown away with what he did the best. So this is an exciting moment to see how he does in another matchup.
Yeah, I'm hoping he does well. I want to see Jaydong's complete return to form and be a champion again. That would be amazing. But Speed right now is doing literally exactly what I would tell him to do to beat Jaydong. He's going for a 4 racks +1. Just heavy Marine Medic and pressuring your opponent's third base. That is what Jaydong dies to most often in this matchup. So I feel like Speed has actually done his homework. He recognizes that, like, okay, you know, Jaydong has a really hard time defending that third, and oftentimes he'll either defend it incorrectly or he'll counterattack, and if you just have just enough to hold, he's way behind. So that's the type of game that I actually do think we're about to see. But obviously, you know, there's a lot of play from here to there.
So the Mutalisks are inbound right now. I didn't see the turret positioning here for Speed at his natural, but this is one of those natural expansions that points out so Mutas can volley glaives into the workers in the mineral patches. He actually gets here just barely as the turret finishes. I thought for a second he was going to be able to snipe that SCV. That shows you how tight the timing of the turrets are here for Speed. You know, it blows me away now that we play StarCraft with a timer on.
Yeah.
In StarCraft Remastered, that was one of the few kind of, for some people, controversial things about the game. It is crazy to me that we ever played without a timer on in the game.
Yes.
I remember seeing Jaydong have Muta Scourge timed out literally to get inside the Terran's base and hit the vessel without a clock on in the game.
Yes.
Where I'm like, I cannot believe you're that good.
You have to be pretty damn dialed in to do that, man.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Now, Speed has his +1. He has his range. And he is out roaming on the map a little bit. This is what you have to do with this build, is you go forward. Jaydong already got a fair amount of SCs, but he didn't overstay his welcome. He came out to meet this army. He needs to make sure that he's zoning this back and making Speed consistently reinforce it. Ooh, good pick off there from Speed already.
Speed's really controlling this well. There really isn't a loose end to hit an exposed Marine or medic. The first Marine comes up here and sees the drone.
Huge.
The mid-game is already being interrupted. Gets the kill. The drone can't escape. The drone is a little bit faster than the Marine, but it seems like now this is bad because, you know what? Terran can just contain you for a little bit here.
Well,
unless there's a drone on the map we don't see.
What has to happen is Jaydong has to break the natural. If he's making this many sunkens, he has to break the natural. There's no other way. And he dives in immediately. He understands what he needs to do. He's made these sunkens, but, oh, he's going to get him just in time. That's enough. That's enough. Speed has to pull back. Jaydong dealing some pretty good damage at this natural. He's got a good amount of SCVs, but is this actually enough? Like, this is kind of like the balancing act that you have to do as Zerg. If you're going to make a bunch of sunkens, you have to get big damage with your mutas across the map.
He's killing a lot of SCVs. I think the turret's going to finish, though. I thought there was an opportunity to maybe snipe that SCV. It's 8 Mutalisks out here now. It's hard to tell how many Marines are. There's a factory over some of them, but I mean, he's killing these guys as they come out. Can he send the Marines back in time to save this? The next turret's going to finish. There was a lot of kills there on workers. I guess Jaydong's still not finished yet. And the third hatchery started here in the bottom left.
This is
crazy
pretty
back and forth.
Yeah, this is like pretty even. I actually put Jaydong maybe slightly ahead here. We have to see, like, okay, there's one starport. And, yeah, you can see how stifled the build is. Like, he canceled one of the barracks, made sense. He lost too many SCVs. He can't support it. He has to make SCVs nonstop. He has to rebuild some missile turrets. And he needs to get a radiate out. But, like, he is definitely hobbled a bit. The fact that he's only going to be on one starport vessel, that's going to take a long time to really push all the mutas back. He's not going to be able to break through lurkers very quickly. Jaydong has done a pretty good job here. But Jaydong's third is slow. That is a very slow third. Speed did such a good job finding that drone in the top right. That was like a crucial moment for him in this game. If that third had already been up and these things had happened, I'd already be calling the game.
You know, there's something like 10 SCVs mining over here, maybe a little bit less. Seeing the factory over there is, you know, if Jaydong's watching, like he is right now, it's a note to say, okay, there's not going to be tanks. If I can get lurkers into a contain or even a push-up here. Was there a bunker above this?
No, I don't think. Oh, yeah, no, there is one at the depots. There is one at the depots.
Okay. I wasn't. No, I thought it was 3 depots for a second. Okay, so it's double depot bunker, but if you can get some lurkers morphed out here. Oh, hold on a second. I think there's Oh, never mind. Sorry, those are Zerglings.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Lurkers are not nearby. Yeah, then this means that Speed can move out on the map. He's going to have the Vessel. There won't be any hold position Lurker shenanigans like we saw from Sulky. Good interception here from Jaydong to basically hit the Marines that are trying to reinforce. Could he go for the turret? He decides not to. He's going to bank out and go north.
Okay, that means he wants to utilize his Marines to slow this army, and that should give him enough time to morph Lurkers. He's got a ton of Sunkens over here, so he doesn't need as many Lurkers there, but he definitely needs 3-4 Lurkers at that third base. And as he gets those up, the problem with Speed's position here, like he's got 1-1, so that's pretty solid, and he does get his second starport going, but like he just doesn't have a lot of tech production. And the Marine Medic can't do anything once you get the Lurkers up. It just kind of sits there, and you need to rely on things like a Radiate or maybe drop ships. And oh my god.
Oh
dude,
my
Jaydong's
god.
got this
Getting
game.
a kill on this without even having to get Scourge is huge.
That's huge. That is, dude, and this
That's
is
one of
still
the
one
worst
starport
things that
production.
can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you could just snipe that, it's basically a free kill. That's massive. You know, it means there's going to be 1 to 2 irradiates on the one vessel. It's going to be hard to get him back. We're already going into Hive Tech.
This looks
this Overlord
excellent
is going
for
to be
Jaydong.
pretty hard to hit. Yeah.
Well, you can
this
see
Overlord is eventually going to go down.
when he's hunting an Overlord like that, you can see how little there is for him to do on the map. Like, until you get good starport production, there's not a lot. It's like, well, you can't attack the natural and you can't attack the third. You either need dropships or you need to be rotating around irradiating things and making Jaydong reinforce. And he's having a hard time doing either. And look at this, Jaydong getting back in here for some harass. The vessel ready to irradiate. He actually moved it forward to like posture like he was about to irradiate, but he didn't have the energy yet. And look at that drone saturation instantly. Dude, Jaydong is putting out a great game here.
Yeah, Speed unable to breach that location. With the Nidus network over there, there's probably never going to be a moment where there's enough irradiates on Lurkers that you could break through the ramp and get to the valuable part where the drones are mining. We know that Consume is being upgraded. More Lurkers are being deployed over at that ramp. And, you know, these Mutas have just been doing damage this whole game at this natural. I wonder if more turrets there would be justifiable. He's going to throw down another irradiate, I think, over here. Oh, hold on. He might barely have enough. If he can split this right, hold up. The Mutas are going to change that.
I think he just got the double damage spine there. My God, that really looked like it. There's actually a bug with Lurkers. If it's shooting exactly as you kill it, the spine does double damage. So he just killed a huge amount of Marines with that. Huge amount. That actually got dangerous for a minute. That's why I was saying you need 3-4 Lurkers at the third base. 2 doesn't quite cut it. Like you can bust in against that.
That's so funny. I hadn't thought about the double damage thing in years. I remember playing Terran and like shooting a Lurker, and every once in a while, like I would have all these Marines that would fire and kill like one Lurker, and as it shot, everything died, and I'd just be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then finding out later it's a weird bug.
No, every now and then I'll be playing a ladder game tasteless, and like I'll kill a Lurker and everything explodes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, Speed, this is the type of pressure you need to apply if you're going to win this game. But Jaydong has Consume. He's ready here with the Defiler, and I'm sure he has Plague on the way. Like, the Plague is going to be the next stage of grinding here, where you're just plaguing armies like this, and they're having to pull way back.
Oh!
Good targeting. Excellent targeting there.
Yeah, that's very hard to pull off. A misclick and you just walk right through the storm there. Oh my God, he's pushing. He's going to get a hatchery up here too. So there's a third base here for Terran that just got landed. SCVs are being sent over there now.
Yeah.
Jaydong seems here we go. I think he wanted to do the eraser, and this was just the worst possible time. There was actually no justification for doing that.
None.
I think that Speed might have fallen apart a little bit here.
Well, I think he's desperate. So many things have gone wrong.
Yeah.
He's gotten 0 real damage this game. The only damage he did was killing the drone that went to the third base. Like, literally, that's it. Everything else is just normal to low damage. And, like, okay, a Plague goes off. Oh, maybe he gets a cancel on this. It looks like he should. Some more units coming out from Jaydong. I do think he has to cancel that fourth base. And Speed did set up his own third. So, like, there are redeeming things he's doing, but his vessel count is really, really low. I think Jaydong pulled back on his mutas at just the right time as anti-drop for the main base. Ooh, and the fire bat meta tasteless.
Yeah. Is that one lurker in there? I think there's actually nothing in there.
Yeah, this has actually been trending a little bit where you go really heavy fire bats because a lot of times it's one lurker that holds you off. And the fire bats can actually just go up and clear that sometimes. So he's adding in a lot of fire bats right now. Double Ultralisk Cavern. Don't know if that was I think that was a mistake, but that's all right. He's going to get into those ultras, which are going to fare very well. But we have battlecruiser tech for Speed.
Yeah, battlecruisers can be very handy in games like this. However, I would put Jaydong just slightly ahead here.
Yep.
Another Defiler is going to come down. He's going to Dark Swarm this again. And, you know, the funny thing with fire bats is, like, yeah, they can kill lings, but it's almost an even fight a lot of times. Like, if there's a narrow corridor and the fire bats are fighting lings, they can kill off an infinite amount. But the moment that there is a couple angles they have to shoot at, they die pretty fast. So even one lurker and just a few lings sometimes can take on fire bats. Good dodge on the Plague overall, only hitting 3 Marines. That's insane.
Yeah, very nice split right there. And, you know, he does have this base mining. The fact that he has a third gas, hopefully he has a third starport, because he really just needs to nail his starport production if he's going to have a chance coming back here. He's lost so many vessels this game. He's just got to gain some value somewhere. And I believe we have 2 BCs flying out right now. Yeah, there they are. So I know that little waddle across the mini-map for sure, man. That's and he's, you know, the BC's one-shot Scourge, as long as they don't have a carapace upgrade, or if you get a +1 on the battlecruiser. But look at Jaydong already adding Spores.
Yeah.
Spores and Plague are both very good against battlecruisers.
So I want to just sort of build off what you said, Artosis, because it can look really weird when the battlecruisers come out. They're never with the main army. They seem to almost drift out on the map to these locations. Most of what Zerg uses to fight the Terran is all ground. It's Defilers, it's Zerglings, it's Lurkers and Ultralisks. And so the couple of battlecruisers become this huge nuisance and forces the player to kind of commit to Hydras, which aren't great versus them, to make a lot of Scourge, which is just sort of a big waste of gas. And it's a great way to kind of throw a wrench in the gears of the game for the Zerg. And so, oh, dude, a lot of Scourge coming out here. Now, I guess with 4 gases, Jaydong feels like this is justifiable to just stamp this fire out and move on with this game, and that's exactly what we're going to have here. Great Plague on the battlecruiser. I guess the best way to handle a battlecruiser looking at that situation is to just Plague it, run the clock, and then go in and clean it up a little bit later on, especially if it's across the map like that.
And another little trick that Zergs need to do more often, and Jaydong just did there, is you bring a Mutalisk. The Mutalisk has higher attack priority than the Scourge. So if it's just Scourge, the battlecruisers will gun down a ton of Scourge before they hit. But with the Mutalisk there, it screws up everything. So really good handling by Jaydong.
Good pushing here. Another great Plague that's going to bleed out all the medic energy there as they're going to be forced to heal over and over. 4 Ultralisks and a handful of Zerglings are moving across the bottom. Oh my god, if there's no Dark Swarm here, this can be busted. I think it's more than one Lurker. It was a Lurker stack for sure, but all the Lurkers are gone now.
And the Ultralisks are going to deal with this bunker very, very easily indeed. Speed going to have to send more units up and run this army away. He just calls GG, a good call of GG there. There was really no chance left. Jaydong massively outplaying everybody so far today.
Interesting mid-game. The third base drone was ferreted out and killed. And it was this moment where Speed tried to bust. It closed the game out. Jaydong barely holds. Beats up the main and the natural, killing lots of SCVs. And then we just went into this, with standard TVZ. I think Jaydong's snipes on the vessels were huge back there. The counterattacks were fantastic. I love that he held the ramp and then just pushed right down the ramp to take a 4th base. Speed was behind for most of that, and he was basically just never able to catch up.
It was superbly done. His mess up, I think, was leaving his base to go cross spawn when there was that many Sunkens making. You know, if you hit it, you look like a genius. But if they hold, you lose so many SCVs. It really becomes a problem. So we're going to go into Dominator from map number 2. I think this is a little bit better for Terran than Zerg, this map. Definitely easier to get drops off. So let's see how Jaydong wants to approach.
Jaydong knows it's just one game and he's out. One game and he's back in the round of 8. He's looking so strong. Speed, though, is no slouch. Let's see what happens as this best of 3 continues on here. Jaydong and Speed fighting for that coveted round of 8 slot. Okay, Jaydong center right. And the bottom left is Speed. Very cool to see Jaydong looking strong, not just in ZVP, but ZVT. You know, it's the fact that he seems to be kind of firing on all cylinders, excuse me, that it makes it a very Jaydong-esque game. His movement looks so good. His counterattacking is on point. He's never counterattacking with too much. His muta control is excellent. He just looks very complete. And it's funny because he did not look complete in other ASLs.
Yes,
he had moments of Jaydongness, but it was filled with overextensions or sometimes misreads on pretty complicated situations where I can't really fault him on it, but you're not going to be a champion. If you fall for that kind of stuff, I'm thinking of games like what happened with him versus TY. But today, I do feel like he looks better than I've seen in a long time.
In a long time, for sure.
2007 vibes here. So this is very exciting. By the way, Jaydong is unique in that when he does extremely well, it's better for the game than basically anybody. Does this make sense, Tastosis?
Yes.
He's got this kind of cult-like hardcore following that really wants him to win, that is really nostalgic for his past.
Yeah.
You know, Flash has this, but Flash also just won ASL, so we kind of got that. But, you know, a big question always in an ASL is how's Jaydong going to do? How will he perform? And you know, what will it look like? And how much bigger will ASL be if he does go deep? Like, if he gets round of 4, the ratings are going to be off the hook.
Yes.
I promise you.
Yes. And, I mean, especially if he maintains that form and Flash returns. Like, Jaydong versus Flash is probably the actual best rivalry ever.
Dude.
So
yeah, this drone is insane. By the way.
He's microing it so well. Speed is the best Terran player at microing his SCV. Wow, really, really superb from Jaydong. That is so annoying. This is part of the reason why I don't wall in that much Tasteless. It's like when the drone gets there first, you're like, oh man, because realistically against good micro, you kind of have to send 2 SCVs up because that's what happens. He tried to do it with 1, and the thing is, Speed is super fast and he's really good at putting damage on probes or drones doing that to him, but Jaydong just out-micros him and, you know, gets that SCV. It's not the end of the world. You know, you lose an SCV, not the end of the world, but it's annoying, and it is a little advantage. And he even comes back into check. I love it. I love it. He's just so on top of things right now.
There's nothing, I think, more intimidating than a player with a drone or a probe that's able to do that moving shot and just starts to kill your stuff, and it's like there's nothing you can do. It's pretty insanely hard to do, even if you're not making workers or buildings. But when you see somebody who's like, you know, doing that and also like even going back to mineral boost occasionally in a patch and make stuff, it's kind of insane. Speed comes with this like, little counter rush. I really like this. Jaydong's control, again, is seeming to be perfect.
Almost.
Not quite. He gets a drone. Eye for an eye game so far.
That was very close to perfect, but not quite. And you can see.
So I think he wants to do the moving shot thing with the drone again. If the SCV turns around, he can keep moving shotting it, as they say. Anyways, now we're going into layer tech. Terran's going to steadily macro up with this finishing command center. His gas has started, and it should be kind of slow and quiet for a little bit.
Definitely agree with you on that. Looks like pretty standard openers overall. This will be like maybe a little bit earlier pressure from Speed because he did go for the 2 barracks pretty quickly. So it looks like it's just a 2 barracks academy rush. And in fact, yeah, he might have just done that off of 2 depots is what it looks like. So this particular rush, what you're looking for is having approximately 8 Marines and 2 medics, or 8 Marines, a fire bat, and a medic, moving out right around 5 minutes. And that allows you to force the Sunkens, and if there's a third base, you can kill it, all before the mutas are out.
The Overlord is going to be perched up here, checking how many Marines are being made over here. There is no cheese inbound. This is very bread and butter, textbook Terran play. And we're going to go into that muta play in a little bit here. The Spire's just about halfway done. I assume for the Zerg, you just have to expand to another main, right, for the third base. I don't feel like you have a ton of options here for other bases, unlike a lot of the other maps we have, just because if you were to take one of the other bases, it'd either be on low ground and therefore easy to push, or it'd be on a high ground area but with 2 ramps. So it's harder to defend with lurkers.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Tastosis. The base I see taken most in these positions is that base at like 1 o'clock-ish that's on high ground with the double ramp.
Okay.
That's the most common that I see on this map. You definitely can't take the other main. The back of the main is so wide open, like you just can't get enough to defend it.
Oh, okay.
You could take the other natural.
Too, I guess.
Yeah, some people take the other natural on Dominator, and some people take that 1 o'clock base. But those are the 2 big choices. Or, I mean, if you're going to play a really aggro game, you can take anything because you're, like, going to keep them in their base or you're going to lose. So those are kind of the choices there. And I'm not sure which one Jaydong will go for. I think just knowing the way he plays, his strengths and weaknesses, I think the 1 o'clock base suits him the best.
So those mutas are going to hatch in a sec here. Jaydong's, again, doing a great job kind of staying on the outskirts. Lings don't have great vision, by the way. So there really is an art to kind of tracking a Terran without dropping too many Lings, or any Lings in this case.
Now the muta's flying out. And yeah, he is sending up to that 1 o'clock base. There's actually a Firebat watching the other natural. And he sends a couple of Lings up here. He knows that the Firebat's probably out there. So he will be able to kill that off. That's kind of nice. Nice micro there, but yeah, it does get surrounded. Excellent turret placement so far. You do have to be careful on this main. If the mutas get behind those minerals, that can be a little bit tricky to deal with.
Okay, the Marines are going to move out. Jaydong has to decide, does he want to try to pursue this and trap it in the middle? I think he can't because there's not enough Zerglings here. So he's going to try to find damage where he can, intercepting Marines at the ramp or the ones over here just outside the bunker. And Speed's not turning around. Now, if this was Sulky, I'd be very worried that Speed can't get back home, but it's Jaydong, so let's see what kind of damage he can do here. I think Jaydong, by the way, is just going to turtle. It's one thing I've noticed that's a big difference between Sulky and Jaydong. Jaydong will rely more on sunken colonies, and Sulky will have just kind of more speedlings and less mutas out on the map.
That's true. That's true. And he actually cancels this one.
I feel like Sulky's feels stronger to me, but I don't know. I mean, this is a bit of an older style that Jaydong's playing. Old style never means necessarily that it's wrong. But he's going to have a lot of mutas here, and I think Speed probably can't get back home with these. I think the numbers are just too high, and Jaydong can kind of take the angles correctly and slowly pick this apart.
So I got to tell you, watching this right now, the way Jaydong is playing this is really superb. His Mutalisk movement has been amazing. His harassment's been amazing. He's had exactly enough defense everywhere. Actually, watching the way he's playing this, if I'm Sulky, I'm like, oh, shit. Because I would be like, this is the guy that can actually kill me in this tournament. Because he is, I think Jaydong is outplaying Speed right now. Not that this game is over. There's so much play in Terran vs. Zerg, but I'm just watching their movements and everything. I think that Jaydong is playing an amazingly strong game right now. Like, everything is dialed in.
Okay, Hive starts up over here. And, again, an angle with a bit of a high ground over here. You can kind of stay back and hit these SCVs. You can just stay out of range barely of the SCVs. And now he's going to have access to the main. Yeah. And one thing about this map is, it's such an open area. You can't really seal yourself off. So the mutas are stuck back here. I mean, they can't avoid damage if they try to leave. But there's a lot of places to take pot shots. And even the angle that we see the Marines darting down into, sometimes when you get Marines in these single file line areas, mutas can punish them that way too, because the glaives will chain through them, taking out 3 Marines at a time.
This exact back and forth is what every Zerg does against this position. Is they go back and forth. They hit the minerals, they fly back in, they kill SCVs, building stuff. You have to put your production in this area. It doesn't really work on the right side of the map. And it's a problem, man. It's like, do you try to build some turrets in here? How many places are you going to make turrets? You're trying to defend with those Marines. And all the while, Jaydong is making drones. He's getting Hive. He's making lurkers. Like, this is amazing. He is dealing so much damage to speed right now.
Now, eventually vessels are going to come into play here, and Irradiate's going to be here, and these mutas will be gone if they stay here. But for now, Jaydong is getting a lot of value. There are some Marines that have left and are embarking toward this base up here at the top. Oh my god, those are dropships?
That's a huge catch. It is worth losing a bunch of mutas to kill both those. That is, dude, he is crushing right now.
That's insane. And the lurkers are going to burrow in time? Oh my god, how do all these Marines get through here?
Just barely. But he does have 3 lurkers, which should prevent the base from dying. Like, I think this will stabilize him long enough. He does lose some drones, so, you know, Speed's doing what he can do here. But with more lurkers coming up, and I think the mutas are actually coming as well, he will be able to save this hatchery, get it mining completely. And it just, whoa, that's crazy. There's no universe in which those Marines with no medics break 3 lurkers.
Yeah. It's always a sad sight when you see an intense game like this, and then you just see like 12 Marines alone with no medics. You go, uh-oh. So he's driven him back. The third base is mining. Looks like the drones are a little bit too stacked up over there on the right side of the patches. Oh my god, Jaydong has to be careful. He could end up having these lurkers sniped.
Oh no.
Oh my god, 2 more dropships. Tastosis.
Oh my god. Tasteless. Like, he picked off the 3rd dropship. And that means that's like, that could have been 4 vessels, but it was 4 dropships, and he knows it's there and it's damaged. And, like, you know, with the vessel, you have a very expected return. Oh my god, he has whole position lurkers too. Dude, this is prime Jaydong.
Well, no vessels, right?
This is prime Jaydong.
Yeah. He's doing everything right.
He's doing
everything.
everything.
By the way, I already said this in the previous game, but it's happening again. Mutas should never be allowed to snipe vessels or dropships. Like, that's the worst of the worst, because it means you're just losing stuff for free.
Out of
you're
position.
Not even getting intercepted by Scourge. Yeah. So, already this is terrible for speed. He invested in dropships that will never land in any position that's going to inconvenience Jaydong. That means his vessel count is later. That means all the irradiates in the game are going to come out later. I assume we have vessels coming out now. Maybe we have 2 more dropships. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, you're looking for, like, big returns when you go dropship. You want more returns than a vessel is going to give you. And the amount that he's lost with 0 returns and the fact that Jaydong knows these are out here, look at that defense. Dropships won't do anything there. You need to make the game super sloppy, get units everywhere to get a dropship to work at this point. And I don't see that happening. Jaydong is, like, this is actually some peak Jaydong stuff that we're watching right now. This is an important moment in StarCraft history, I feel like. Like, maybe he's just completely returned to form here. Dude,
Seems
kills
like
a vessel?
Back.
Are
God,
you kidding me?
Another vessel.
It's insane.
I mean, this dropship can't even do anything. There's enough lings here. It's going to kill Marines without lurkers, without Dark Swarm. It doesn't matter.
Unless it's 7 fire bats, man. It's going to be a tough one. Well, he gets in. He's going to get a little damage. So, I mean, this is an okay drop. You get 5-6 drones, cause some lost mining time, you know, kill what you can. Oh, good targeting there to save the vessel. But obviously it will get cleaned up.
Still get it.
Oh, my God. Okay, you know what this is reminding me of? I'm getting a flashback. I was... like, oh, God, he's going to load up these dropships.
Oh, this is either going to... I think that Zerg is about to win the game unless Speed can do fatal damage with this to the point where it destabilizes Jaydong hugely. Big unloads coming down over here. The problem is I don't... Oh, hold on. He's going to do a big counterattack over here at the entrance. Is this going to work on either side?
Hey, this drop. Like, he's absolutely, like, relentless dedication to getting drops off is starting to work. And this is why, actually, I think that this map is a little bit better for Terran. It is easy to drop the main base. You can see it's just much harder when there's, like, this wall around it to stop drops coming in. And he's having a hard time. Like, Speed's actually, he's racking up some damage.
Yeah, he could maybe get behind the minerals.
Yeah, maybe.
More dropships are coming. Oh my god, there's a lurker there. He scans. Can he kill this? No, that's 2 lurkers firing. The problem is that there's so many lurkers everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere to land. It's kind of like the floor is lava game. Like, you just can't put your feet on the ground anywhere. The only safe place for the Marines to be is inside the dropships. So I guess Terran has to take a third.
Yep. Yeah, and he's adding more barracks. He's just, like, really spending his money right now. This is one of those games where Speed has, like, the pedal on the floor. In fact, what was the name of that movie, Speed, where, like, you can't go under 40 miles an hour or something like that?
That's right.
That's
the bus
actually
explodes.
That's perfect, because that's his ID, and that's literally what's happening, where if he lets up the pressure at all, Jaydong will start to run away with the game. Like, he doesn't have a lot of great staying potential. He needs to consistently be attacking and doing damage. And he's flying over here. 5 dropships? Dude.
Yeah. The problem is I think Keanu Reeves is going to lose in this storyline. I don't know if this is going to work out. Oh, Eraser! What's up?
That's a great idea. He killed the Spire, don't forget.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Good point. Oh, he's going to Eraser the... Oh, never mind.
Oh,
Jaydong's
as ready as you can get.
Dude.
As ready as you can get. My God. Jaydong is playing so well here. Speed, though, he's trying to make something happen. He's sending some dropships up. The Hydra's move. Oh, my God. Very fortuitous here for Speed.
Speed with a great play. Lurker's going to come in. Does he have the scan in time? He's got a vessel that comes up here. He could keep these Marines in the back. He irradiates 1 lurker. You know, it's just a 3-base Zerg, by the way. Got to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's not like this is, you know,
dude, this is
4 bases and ultras are hat. I mean, there's been so many interruptions. Oh my God, the number of drones that could be killed here.
Yeah. Ooh. Tastosis, I tell you what, like, we've been gushing over Jaydong, but Speed's comeback in this game is unbelievable. Now, that being said, Jaydong is moving forward with Hydra Lurker Defiler. If he gets into the natural, he can still end this game.
He's done another incredible drop over here. It seems like there's going to be a Dark Swarm down here. He has enough irradiates. God, there's almost no medics over here either.
And, you know, pure Marines aren't going to do that much. Oh, my God. He's killing all the buildings in the main base.
How many scans does Terran actually have right now? We've had so many scans thrown down here. I'm worried these Marines can't quite last over here.
Yeah, you might be
going
right
to try to
about
push
that.
in here. I don't see another Dark Swarm. He's going to run in again.
Ooh. All right, he will finally be able to clear that out of his main base. And you see a lot of fire bats being made, sent up here. I don't know if he has lurkers left. He has like 1 lurker left in there. So the fire bats are actually manhandling these Hydras under the Dark Swarm. Oh, and he gets
in. Oh my God! Hold on, he gets in there. He gets in to radiate. Hold up. More fire bats.
That was still a good attack by Jaydong. Like, he got rid of the factory that was there, and it was clear that he wanted to go into siege tanks. So he's preventing
Look
that.
At that Scourge. And Scourge like does an ollie off the science vessel and then goes back in and dies.
You know, this is going to be a Hydra Lurker Defiler from Jaydong against someone whose factory he killed. And this is like, you can play 3 base on this.
Yeah.
And like, there, you know, he's trying to throw down some irradiates. He's used up a lot of his energy there. Another Dark Swarm goes down. The Lurker's going forward. Great Dark Swarm as he tries to intercept. Picks off the Defiler. Very important moment. Needs to kind of just zone things out right now. But the Hydra's coming up, picking off a lot of those dropships. Oh my God, this game.
This is insane, man. I mean, here's the thing. Terran's on 3 bases, but barely. The 3rd base is almost naked. Yeah, there's a medic here. That doesn't help at all. The natural is about to be mined out. Jaydong may just have enough, but then you can never underestimate the strength of vessels and medic marine. You know, the infinite energy on the medics and the vessels, the irradiates that can be deployed over and over again to take out the few lurkers that Zerg actually has. We see Speed now taking advantage of the Zerg's Dark Swarm.
Yeah.
By the way, the 3rd base has been lifted off. So There's like a minute or two left before speed mines out. Jaydong's going to try to close this out. Similar to the closing of Best game, we have almost a 360 surround, every single side being hit. My
Dude,
God, I think that is game.
He's done it. I don't think you can come back from this as speed. He just doesn't have anything that can deal with this amount of lurkers. My God. Unbelievable play from Jaydong. This, like, we actually have Jaydong back, Tastosis. I'm getting chills right now watching this.
Yeah,
he
back. Looks so strong.
This is some top form stuff. Like, this was a masterfully played game, a masterfully played day. Every single one of his games was like God tier, and very different from how Sulky plays too, which makes it kind of exciting in its own way.
And to be clear, I mean, he won this group coming out first versus Best and Speed. These are extremely strong players.
Yes.
I can't emphasize enough how impressive this is. This will be the killing blow, by the way, the lurkers at the ramp and the few mineral patches that will be drained in minutes. I don't even think there's going to be enough time in the game for Speed to clear those out because this command center's going down.
He's not mining. That's it. He's not mining. More lurkers come in. Nothing left in this game, Tasteless.
Yeah, Speed
has
cocks
a
his head
GG.
back. Big gasp here. And he taps out. Whoa.
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 I can't even. Like, Jaydong was so on top of everything. He knows exactly what he's doing. His form is back. We know he's been working hard towards this. You know, he said it publicly. Like, he wants to reach that pinnacle once again. He's been training hard, and he wants to do it as long as he can. And I feel like he's broken through. He's absolutely stronger than what we saw last season. He was the third best Zerg last season. He is innumerably stronger than he was last season. It is a different player altogether.
That is so hype.
Dude.
I mean, he was by far the best player in the group. And that's, you know, we were saying at the start, like, he might be the weakest. You never know. Sometimes he's good.
What
sometimes
fools we
he's
were.
not. I'm happy to be wrong about this one, Tastosis. What an exciting day of games.
Tasteless, I'm 42
We
years
got
old.
plenty more to go.
My biggest regret in life was doubting Jaydong in this group.
Well, we can't turn the clock back, Tastosis. We can only move on into the losers match in Group B for the round of 16.
It's going to be the story of the next 42 years of my life, is thinking back to this day and how stupid I was to think he wasn't going to dominate.
You'll be on your deathbed with your kids, and those will be the last words you say before you leave this earth, Tastosis. I was wrong about Jaydong.
Man. Yeah, Jaydong really played out of his mind. There was so much going on. The fact that he did this nice counterattack, he kind of walked around a funny way on the map. Like, I think this army actually came from that 1 o'clock base through the Nidus and went down. And so it just wasn't intercepted. Like, Speed didn't realize it was coming. If you think that's coming, you put your Marines spread out way in front and you make them grind their way in. And he probably would have won if he had done that. But Jaydong found a way to victory despite the immense damage Speed was getting.
This was kind of a crazy moment. We didn't really give much attention to the third base of Speed, but I think a couple bunkers, you know, fire bats up there might have helped.
Maybe.
You know, it's never so much that it's a conscious decision, right? It's just there's so much going on. You're trying to do as much as you can in a game as crazy as this is. The push into this was questionable as well. You know, he kind of attacked into 5 lurkers, which, you know, I don't care how many Marines and fire bats you have. If you don't have a perfect arc around that, you shouldn't engage with that at all. And this gave Jaydong a bit of a counter push here. Cleared out all the drop ships and was able to drive a wedge between the third and the second base.
Perfect style from Jaydong, too. In these low econ situations, this is really the only composition that can win. So the fact that he showed that flexibility to go into this comp that's pretty popular right now, the Hydra Lurker Defiler, and then he played it brilliantly. Like, he wasn't focusing on trying to secure 4th base. He was like, no, we're going to kill him. And he did that wonderfully. Very important thing to have in your toolbox against Terran is this type of play.
Okay, we're going to have a winner's interview now. Let's see Jaydong's thoughts. He's the 3rd player moving on to the round of 8.
You're watching Group B of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6, as we have our first player advancing through today. Once again, getting to play extended series after a while, let's meet Jaydong. Congratulations. Thank you. I imagine even you would not have expected that you would get to play matches that left such a lasting impression in front of so many people. Even now, after the game, watching you sit down for this interview and still trying to catch your breath, it really showed just how much focus and intensity you poured into those matches. After a long while, you deliver a performance worthy of a tyrant as you move on to the round of 8. If you could sum up how you're feeling, what would you say? It's so good. For a few years, I've been getting knocked out in the round of 16. I wanted to get to the single elimination bracket for once. The matches went well today. I am satisfied. Now, you have been scoring wins here and there, but actually hearing you say you were satisfied with your performance is somewhat of a rare thing. Given you someone who is harsh, cruel, even in your assessment of yourself, these matches will resonate with meaning. Starting with how you move your drones, with your mutalist control. I felt how intent you were to remain calm and collected throughout those games. I used to be bold. I knew no fear when I was younger. But now, whenever I came to the studio for a tournament, I would become more and more timid, in-game as well. So getting rid of that, I focused on my mentality so that I can do the right plays. Maybe that's why in your preparation for today, rather than focusing on your early game movements, whether it's what you did to counter Best's double Stargate, whether it's how you dealt with a marine attack that Speed played in the first set against you by quickly building Sunkens to defend, you approached this with a mindset of calmly predicting your opponent's movements and dealing with them. What was your preparation like? Preparation? I just prepared the same way. Coming to the tournament, I just constantly adjusted for my opponents. I thought to allow myself more freedom in the games as well. I think these things came out in the matches as well. In the pre-game interview, rather than talking a lot, you were saving your breath. I felt you didn't want to distract yourself from the games. But before the winners match, before the match against Speed, I saw on the screen you were muttering something to yourself. He must be talking to himself, I thought. Would it be in order for me to ask what you were saying? When I play Speed online, I often get stopped in weird ways. He manages to make good turnarounds. I just thought, do what you gotta do. I kept thinking that I shouldn't let him do it or get a turnaround whenever I'm ahead. I kept telling myself to play it safe. It was all so I could win. You kept your temper in check, and this sharp edge you have was clearly showing in the games. You advanced to the round of 8, not dropping a single map. Honestly, in the second set against Speed, Jaydong, you can't stop yourself from laughing. In the second set against Speed, Speed really turned it into a slugfest with his dropships and vessels. You got shaken at the 12 o'clock and the 3 o'clock. Regardless, when executing your own attack, I felt you were resolved not to throw the match, not to give up initiative. What was your judgment at that point? That game should not have gone that way. I was a little annoyed with myself. And in that situation, I realized if I don't rush forward, I will get disjointed and lose. So I just went for it. I have a feeling a lot of people have come to the studio and been watching online to witness this never-ending drive that propels you forward, this sharpness of yours as a player. Droves of people were holding cheerfuls with your name on them and showing zealous support. Seeing this must always give you strength. I am really, really thankful. It's a great source of strength. Oh, actually, would it be okay? I have something to say. Sure? What do you have prepared there? What's that? Oh, you just didn't want to forget. Jaydong, the stage is yours. I'm so nervous I can't speak. First of all, big thanks to Barracks and JYJ for helping me practice. Now Prodos, YSC, Bisu, Rain. For 4 days we practiced until dawn. That's how diligently I practiced. I hope you guys make it out next week, and if you need help practicing, please let me know. I also wanted to thank Truman from Eastha. He's like a football commentator and content creator. Also, we have representatives from Ferex, an esports club. I like these guys, so I'm thankful. And oh, I'm so sorry. No, it's fine. Also our K-Day students, thanks for coming here. And our boss watching online. I'll just say one more thing. You can say two more if you want. I can say two more things? Yes. Also, I always work out before coming to the studio to play. I want to thank my coach. And I also finally want to thank my fans. Once again, congratulations on advancing, Jaydong. Once again, after a while aiming for perfection, he makes it into the round of 8. He is all smiles. That was Jaydong. Let's take a look at the events we have prepared for you. We have an offline event for those watching live at the studio. Upload a photo or a video of yourself to social media and then post that as a comment under the event post. 10 people will receive power banks, and we also have 1 ASL uniform to give away. Please participate. We also have a winners prediction event on the Soup Esports website taking place all throughout the round of 16. 4 people will be receiving prizes there. And we will take a short break and come back with the losers and decider matches. See you in a few.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
Step by step, I walked 100 miles and I still ain't sure just what I'm trying so hard to find. The night seems longer and the wind blows louder when you wander so far from home. If I cross your mind, say a prayer, I'll find my way and get off of this lonely road. Can you hear me? Tell me, can you hear me? I've been calling out for help, still don't see nobody near me. I'm down it, almost underground it. So deep in the valley, I can't even tell you which way is the mountain. God, the only word I got, I could probably plant a garden, all this dirt I got. Trail of broken hearts behind me from the hurt I fought. Sometimes I really start to wonder if I deserve my spot. Cause I'm just a man who's got blood all on his hands. But does a humble sinner still deserve a chance? Hey, say a prayer for me, I think you would advance. Step by step, I walked 100 miles and I still ain't sure just what I'm trying so hard to find. Let's go. The night seems longer and the wind blows louder when you wander so far from home. If I cross your mind, say a prayer, I'll find my way and get off of this lonely road. Off of this lonely road, off of this lonely road, off of never drown me. If I walk towards the light, could I tell them that you found me? God, the only help I got. I know some people plotting on me, probably thought I'd rot. Praying for my downfall, wanna take my spot. Guess I deserve it, all the evil came out my heart. But I'm just a man who's got blood all on his hands. Because a humble sinner still deserve a chance. Hey, take me up, I pray to God I never land. Step by step, I walked 100 miles and
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to go into the losers match. And this is going to be a great losers match, honestly. I don't know who moves on, Artosis. Sharp, he's performed a little bit better, but, you know, on any given day, Best can kill just about anybody. We know that Best's PvT tends to be very bust-oriented. He busts Terrans more than any other Protoss that we have seen in the ASL.
Yeah. I think that this is just a fantastic match. We're going to have Eclipse, Dominator, Radion. All right, Polestar ban from Best, and a Death Valley, of course, ban from Sharp. Let's get into it.
Okay, Best in the top right, Sharp in the bottom left. Our final plug for the Patreon, guys. I know that a lot of times people are watching this and they're like, I haven't made an account on Patreon. There's like too much friction. It's a headache to sign up. Consider doing it. You'll get access to the Tastosis secret podcast. That's where our Toasts meet, checking on each other, do a little back and forth, a little live podcast before we start this recording. I think you'll enjoy it, and you know, we are so grateful to everybody who's been supporting us. It's meant the world to us. And ASL forever. Artosis.
Indeed. Thank you much, everybody. That's an excellent drawing. I love the face on that thing. Okay, so Sharp, his weakness used to be gas steal because he would prevent it. And if someone goes heavy zealot pressure and you prevented the gas steal by taking your gas more quickly, you're just behind. But he stopped doing that. He started letting... He was the only pro that was actually blocking gas steal completely. Like, starting his gas to block it, or putting an SCV on the ramp to stop it, that type of thing. But I see that he's actually opening with the new meta for these two-player maps, which is to get your racks on 10, so it's down before the probe gets there. And he should let it happen. Okay, this is what I was waiting for, just to make sure he was still on this train, because there was a long time. It was funny because people were like, well, Artosis, why don't you just like do it like Sharp and like block the gas steal? It's like, because you died to Zealots. That's why, and he died to Zealots. I'll never forget the game against Free on Eclipse, where Free walked 3 Zealots by the bunker and killed Sharp. It was so funny because it was like a B rank move. And then he's like, in the interview, he's like, the old Free is back. And it's like, you walk 3 Zealots by a bunker, kid. Get out of here. But anyways, it's good. It's refreshing to see Sharp, kind of catch up on the meta here. And yeah, anyways, like you were saying, it's hard to predict this one. Best versus Sharp is just a great match. Anytime you can catch a Best versus Sharp game, do it. Because they're like, I think that they're quite evenly matched in this. I would say probably... Yeah, maybe Best is like 1% better at the matchup or something, but Sharp is like a superb Terran versus Protoss player.
We're going to see Best do the gas steal into Nexus first, into Gateway Pylon. This is one build specifically I don't know how to do that well. It feels kind of dangerous. You know, whenever you go Nexus first, there is an issue of just Marine SCV counterplay. Just doing a crazy all-in. Now, in this game, it doesn't look it's going to happen because Sharp is throwing down his own command center. So this is going to be heavy macro openings.
Yeah, maybe even deep macro openings. But yeah, this is...
Deep macro.
This is really, like, I think, about the best build that there is Gas Steel into Nexus first. It's really, really strong. Terrans were trying to block it for a while, but don't really do that anymore. And honestly, well, hold on. He actually is pushing in with these 2 Marines and trying to get a probe or 2. But he might end up losing the Marines, which is a little bit annoying. But if he gets a couple probes... Hard to target there because they're all stacked.
Yeah, the stack is brutal.
Yeah.
It looks like he's going to pull. It's much easier to pull the probes away or any injured worker away. Okay, he gets one. Easier to pull the injured one away because you can group select as they're your units. You can't group select enemy units, so there's no way to pick out that one.
That was
the weak one.
Yeah, that was a great defense from Best. That was very well done. And getting his Cybernetics Core. You know, the game, I would put a game like this, like, kind of close to even, but definitely Best is ahead. You know, that trade wasn't that good. He's having to make more Marines. That can slow down your secondary factory, which is a little bit annoying. But I think it really comes down to, like, what does Sharp want to do here? Because there's like some new metagame things that we have going on in this matchup, like especially because Eclipse is back, where a lot of Terrans have been going 3-fact and just pushing very quickly. We actually saw Scan do it against Mini, and I've seen it on the ladder a lot from Terran players here. So I wonder if he's going to go for that. Yeah,
I think it's really smart because whenever Protoss Fast expands, they're giving up a certain amount of intel. And you know, one thing about this 3 Zealot rush is you can run in there and try to figure out what they're doing. Is he going to get the block up here? That was so good.
Get out of here, old free.
That was like perfect. Yeah, old idea, shut down. So what I was saying is those 3 Zealots, that's kind of a harass, but also a scout. A lot of times what you want to do is just run by the bunker, and then like you just kill whatever you can. You oftentimes have to get 3 Zealots kind of blindly just to make sure you don't die to a rush. So then you're trying to figure out how to get utility from them. But when you go for 3 factory, Protoss is in this position where they kind of want to get a 3rd base as fast as possible, but they're afraid of rushes. And in this case, Sharp's going to have a really strong rush. So Best is in a very uncomfortable position. Oh my god, the Vulture gets by 2.
That was really good.
Didn't even damage it.
Yeah. 4 Zealots,
I think that if Best will survive this, he has to have Reaver Tech behind this.
Well, we don't know exactly which. Like, he's only gone 1 add-on here. So it has to be a Vulture upgrade. Is it speed or is it mines? Is he making a tank? How many tanks does he want to make? When does he want to move out? You know, there's all sorts of different ways to do this. Like, you can get out there more quickly and try to maneuver speed vultures in to get probes, or you can go out there with a slightly stronger army more slowly with more siege tanks. You can do some sort of combination. It looks like a combination. So he's gotten mines quickly. He got 1 siege tank. He's pushing out with the 5 Marines. I like it. I think Sharp is doing a very good job here so far. This pressure looks like it could do some damage.
These mines over here will draw the Protoss and the Observer to the side, and that can allow this push to come in. Now, with 4 Zealots, you got to watch out. I mean, the funny thing is he stopped the Zealots from scouting, but now they're part of the rush. And Zealots can kind of tank a bunch of Vulture, tank Marine shots, draw mines, and all that kind of stuff. So Best is setting this up almost perfectly to kind of flank and hit this from both sides.
Really well done from Sharp, too. I like how you pointed out he drew the Observer to the other side, so he came in undetected. Really, really strong play with that. And he even goes up here to the ramp, where it's really hard to engage him. He's picking off the Zealots so quickly. The Goon is actually a little bit late on that flank as well. Sharp is definitely outdoing Best so far with this push.
I think Sharp might be able to just... Oh, he doesn't quite pin that Dragoon. It gets away. You always want to get that weaker Dragoon because just a few extra shots can make all the difference in the world. Did he actually wall himself in with pylons? No, I'm sorry. There's actually an opening here. But he didn't wall himself in with pylons at the entrance. So now these probes are going to go down. Vultures run through here. Oh, Sharp is looking so strong.
Dude, he has a doctorates in unit movement. He is maybe the best Terran at that. It is unbelievable what he has pulled off with 1 and then a 2nd tank and just running around, dragging the Goons around, dragging the Observer around. He's killing the 3rd and all the probes of the Natural at the same time. Sharp is so good at this type of play.
So, I mean, maybe he can save the Nexus. It's looking pretty bad. Are there observers over here to actually spot the mines? Oh, he's not quite targeting it, though. You basically want to buy some time with these vultures down here in these mines. See if you can right-click this down. It's getting low. Oh, my God, I think he's going to get it. Yeah, it goes down.
Well, you know, he'll trade these as best he can, but not going to get that much more with it. And now the question to Best is, how do you want to follow this up? He actually has an observer on top of the base, so he sees late second add-on and only 4 factories so far. So that's actually some pretty good intel. You know, he can look at that and say, oh, actually the follow-up push isn't the scariest thing in the world. Like, obviously it's going to be scary because he lost a lot there, but it's not like necessarily a death sentence. I feel like he can start that Nexus, add a couple gates, add a Citadel, and maybe end up holding this push and getting into a real game.
This is a tough one. Protoss never want to have, be one Nexus down like this. It's so painful. Terran can basically just 2 base and power up, and there's really not a lot Protoss can do. The 3rd base, besides getting all the gateways up, it lets you comfortably tech. And now Protoss doesn't have comfortable tech. They don't have, like, carriers. They don't have an Arbiter ready to go. Maybe they could try to tech the Psystorm. The Reaver was never made in this. The Reaver would have made a huge difference had it managed to come out. So, I mean, this feels very losing for Best. Now, Best is pretty good in bad situations, and he's probably the strongest Protoss on low base numbers in general. But this is going to be a really, really hard game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very tough position to play from. And, he has a shuttle, and he does have the 4 gates. We haven't really seen him warp in any more gates yet. I think he does need to get some more. You're not going to hold a 6-fact push with 4 Gateway Dragoon. You're going to need Zealot legs. Honestly, because he kind of got behind, he might want to go 8 gates, maybe even 10 if he feels he can support it with his probe count. And, just really focus on stopping this. But that command center is perfect. Sharp is playing a god tier game here. Like, this is exactly... And look, he adds another 5 gates. So he's going up to 9 gates right now. But, like, he has not let Best see that he's doing that. So you're sitting there as Protoss, and you're like, okay, I need to add a ton of gateways. I need to get a ton of units. There's a 6-factory push coming for me. And that's what Sharp wants you to think. He's actually going to push out, force Best to make 1 million units, and he scans there and he sees that it's like, oh, you added so many gates, and he'll just expand. And suddenly it's 3 base versus 3 base, and Sharp is way ahead.
Ooh, really bad usage of the shuttle there.
Oof.
Okay, I think Sharp can probably just push and win.
You might be right about that.
It's so funny. It all came down to the fact that Protoss didn't really know what was going on in the Terran space. The Zealots never got up the ramp, and he just sort of played blind. And, it's tempting when you're playing blind to just kind of go greedy, right? But you were saying, Artosis, and I 100% agree, it's so true. 3-factory play is so strong and common now in the meta.
Yeah.
So it's almost better, especially on Eclipse where it's just really hard to get a 3rd base for the Terran anyways, to almost blindly play into like some kind of 2-base powering play post Nexus first. Like, you're still ahead.
Yeah. I think a big part of the strength of Nexus first is getting your 3rd quickly, but that was a bit too quickly. I think he can actually just slow it down a little bit. Like, if he goes 3-gate Observer and then just recognizes what's occurring and makes his Nexus, how much later is his Nexus going to be? Not that much later, and he will never die to a 3-fact. In fact, not only will he not die, he'll crush it and be ahead. So, like, Best just playing a little bit too greedy against someone that's known for being very good at these types of builds.
Best trying to just kill off as many vultures as he can. There is such a heavy amount of tanks here with a lot of vultures backing it up. This style where you just have so many tanks with vultures there. Sometimes you don't even really need to lay that many mines during a fight. You just kind of clump the tanks in siege mode with the vultures on top of them and nothing can kill it.
Yeah, it just kind of matters the game state. If there's a lot of Psystorm or something, you might not want to do that. If the Protoss is maxed, maybe that'll backfire. But in this type of situation where it's like literally just gateway man. Yeah, man, keep that stuff clumped up, get the highest DPS you can out of your army, and Protoss can't really engage.
Okay, nice block. And by the way, I gotta say, there's a 4th base coming up for Best. It's looking okay. I was saying earlier, if there was going to be tech, it'd probably be Storm. I do feel like if you lost a 3rd Nexus, even though it's always kind of awkward to talk about, like, if something tragically bad happened in a game, here's maybe the best thing to do. I think this is probably the most realistic way to play a game out, is to basically go 1 shuttle, 4 Templars, and Psystorm.
Yeah. I gotta mention, Best is, like you already said it, but he's recovering really well this game. He's doing a very good job of kind of like securing another base. And one of the most important things that you can kind of see happening, but especially if you look at the minimap, he keeps walking groups of Dragoons around clearing mines. That's the most important thing to do on Eclipse, because the way that you beat Terran here is threatening counterattacks. And the only way Terran can really slow that is by having a ton of mines out. So if you're just consistently clearing those everywhere, it's very hard for Terran to push out, because you can really, really quickly go down a different lane and threaten that counter.
Nice snipe on the probe. Best is going to continue to steadily develop here on the map. And Sharp hasn't pushed. Sharp is maxed out. I almost feel like he should push. I feel like if he waits,
yeah,
this is kind of all Terra needs. Oh god, this is so annoying.
I think
when you do the pylon wall and there's like 2 vultures and a tank here, it's like so annoying to try to clean up, because Dragoons can't run in between the pylons to kill this off, so you have to kill it with Zealots.
Yeah. I want to go to what you were saying about Sharp attacking.
Yeah.
Like, definitely you're not going to have a better army versus army situation here unless Best attacks him. You know, when Protoss maxes out, sometimes they can't help themselves, Tasteless. Sometimes their hands just do it themselves and they attack into a location because they're like, okay, I'm maxed. It's not going to get better than this. Let's go. And if he does that, Sharp will counterattack and kill him. But if he just straight attacks, they're like this, right? He's starting to move up the center. Now we have the counterattack going up. So these goons slow him and the other goons counterattack because they're very close by. And you can see Sharp left a few units to try to stop this, but this is too big and this is going to force him to turn around.
And the turnaround is where he could do the Psystorm. I think he wants to run up the ramp. Here we go. Here we go. This is big. Beautiful first storm.
Ooh.
A second one comes down.
Great second storm. Great. Oh, my God.
I cannot believe. Oh, my God. This is like almost basically perfect.
Couldn't have really asked for better.
Ramp. That is literally about as good as it could be. Oh, my God. Best is just so good at controlling armies.
Oh, my God.
Stunned.
I got to tell you, Tasteless, I've been working on my manner and giving respect, and I got to give respect to Best for how he played. But if I'm Sharp, I'm saying some choice words about the Protoss race here. Sharp was in a great position, and Best just came right back. One counterattack, and he punished him so hard. And now Sharp is literally dead. That's it. Best wins.
I think Sharp really threw here. I feel like he needs to. When you get that advantage and they have to re-expand again, all you got to do to win the game is just go contain the Protoss. He basically let the Protoss just sort of fester and grow on the map. And he pushed too late, you know, and this is this is insane to see that Sharp, you know, after a 3-factory push kind of threw like this. But,
well, I think,
man, I mean, what are you going to do? Best played a smart game. And I love the Templar tech because he basically stayed back. Yeah. He didn't get too greedy. He didn't go for Arbiters. He didn't go for, you know, double robo speed shuttle or anything crazy. He just kind of waited for an opportunity, did a counterattack. The counterattack comes back, and that's where you storm.
Yeah, I think the thing is, GG, very well done. The thing is, Best, like, keeping those mines as far back as possible. As soon as, you know, we were talking about this right before Sharp attacked. He tried to attack up the center. He left a few units to try to dissuade Best from countering. But that's how you win on Eclipse, is you threaten those counterattacks. And like you said, you know, the Psystorms really hurt the reinforcing Terran army because it's clumped up as it comes in. It's not spread out. A great counterattack by Best. Like, he used the map how the map needs to be used for PvT. And it's a very hard map for TvP because you can't ever head off a counterattack. Every other map, there's different paths you might be able to go down and, like, kind of catch the army. Not on Eclipse. You have to just turn around all the way.
Well, we're not done. This is a best of 3. We're going to go to Dominator here for the next map. Best getting a disadvantage early on, but using that kind of macro patient style, slowly surrounds his opponent. Sharp going to be very frustrated with that loss. He's going to have to pull it together here if he's going to come back and make it onto the 3rd map, Radeon.
Well, I hope that he can do it, Tasteless. I'd be really sad if our 2nd place player from last season picks his group as best he can and goes out without winning a map. That would suck. But yeah, Dominator, I think it's a good map. Both sides of this matchup. I think Protoss is pretty strong early on, and later on, Protoss really finds their stride on Dominator.
Yeah, oh man, you can see Sharp really beating himself up there in the last few shots, kind of just reliving that game. That's why we do best of 3s. Let's see if we can make it better here in game 2. Okay, Best here in the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Sharp here in the bottom. Oh, guys, sorry. I'm not good with sides of maps, apparently. Sharp in the bottom, Best over here on the far right.
So,
I'm looking at the sponsor for this. Yeah. Is this like Hot 6 with protein in it?
Yeah, dude. Didn't you ever wish that your energy drink was a meal?
Yeah. I'm blown away. Is this the next iteration?
So
it's like, well, I'll have Red Bull blood. I'll also have creatine in it because I'm trying to do 2 different things.
Well, here's what you can do, Tasteless. Next time you go to the gym, lift weights and drink one of these for your protein, and then that'll give you the energy to do your cardio. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny. Yeah, the drink game, they've always got to outdo each other, right?
Yeah. Got to have that next thing.
So, Sharp, it was too bad to see him go down like that. I was so sure that he was, going to have maybe the easiest mid to late game of his life with that great opening, but he got punished pretty hard. It doesn't look like Best is actually going to be going for Nexus first here on this map. A lot of Protosses like to open up with 1 Zealot and try to pressure. If you can control a Terran at the ramp, it's always good.
Yeah.
Most Terrans at this level don't lose control of the high ground by their ramp, but I still think it's a strong opening. I think it's smart to play like this.
Yeah, I think
assuming that's what he does.
You can definitely catch people if they're trying to expand too fast or something. Stuff like that is really, really common on the ladder to see Protosses like maybe make an extra unit or so in the early game and try to battle a little bit, but Terran has plenty of counterplay to that nowadays. You can always just make a 3rd depot and make extra Marines. It's almost always a Vulture expansion. And if you ever think like, oh, this is scary, you just make a 2nd Vulture before your add-on and you'll probably be fine. And, so there's definitely some counterplay there. So we'll see how Best wants to go about it. And that is a 223 factory. So that means that was an 11 gas. So he's getting his factory extremely fast. I wasn't actually paying attention in the early game.
Oh, wow.
But,
I was looking at that. I'm like, damn, that seems super quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so help me understand this, because this is out of my worldview here. You go for a super quick factory.
Yep.
What does this allow you to do?
So the Vulture comes out quickly enough. Let's say that Best went for a Nexus first. Your Vulture will be in the natural before a Dragoon is out. So that's one of the big things it can do. So you don't necessarily have to do Marine, Vulture, SCV. You can actually just kind of go and harass. And there's some counterplay to that now where people make pylon walls and stand a Zealot there until the Goon comes out and just sack a Zealot. But yeah, it also just getting that Vulture out that quickly, that gives you, that's where you kind of start to gain some map control unless your opponent's going like Goon range. And then they can kind of maintain that map control a little bit. It makes sure that you have a Vulture out on the map, which is very important, for a lot of different reasons. It's like one of the most powerful things Terran does in the early game now. Yeah, it's a solid way to play, but you do cut your economy a little bit doing it. Your 2nd depot starts after your factory. You have to kind of delay an SCV a bit more. It it has its good and bad points.
He did kill the SCV before it got in there. So Terran is probably still wondering, like, is there any kind of weird tech happening here? You know, there are plays where you go for, like, Nexus Expand and a DT. We've seen that have a lot of success. Maybe, like, 3-4 years ago. That was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
A lot of Terrans, you know, they're eager to try to get their own base up and get into their own tech that they'll have turrets that are late, and they'll just die out. So this game, it's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be Robo.
And I think he's making a tank right now. So this will probably be a 4 or 5 Marine, 1 tank Vulture push. And this is just to poke the front to see what they're doing. You generally don't get any damage with a build like this that Sharp is doing. Of course, we'll see if that tank... Yeah, a Vulture would have been out by now, so... Oh! Never mind. Okay, so I guess it was just the second Vulture. So he'll just run Vultures around and lay some mines and stuff, but it's a little bit harder to tell what they're doing. The tank allows you to kind of check the front of the wall, and almost always an observatory is there, you know?
Yep, very quiet game from Sharp, but I think this is good. Oh, hold on. The SCV is going to try to come through here. Sometimes a greedy Protoss is trying to take a third base super fast here, so that's a good time to try to run it and see, you know, our Dragoons trying to clear mines. You can kind of time it out as, like, when the mines come out. There's a period where, as the first observer comes out, it's going to glide through that area where the mine would likely be, and you want to try to get in there. And so that's a smart time to try to send the SCV in.
Need to point out that Best this game did what I kind of suggested last game of going 3-gate observer. Any 2-factory push, or even, well, you can't go really 3-factory with a build like this, like Factory Expand. You can, but it's terrible. But yeah, any early push, this build crushes so hard that sometimes you can just counterattack and win. But he's not doing that. Like, this is a 1-factory armory, which is actually the best build you can do against what Best is doing. So Sharp, I would say, got the better end of build orders here. But, you know, it's one of those small advantages where it won't necessarily translate into anything. It's just like, okay, that's good for Sharp, but, you know, the game goes on.
Yeah, well, one thing about going 3-gate is you can always just stop using the gateways and expand. But at least it keeps you safe from some pushes. And so he's going across the map. A lot of times seeing the dotted mines here is already enough of a signal that Terran wasn't going to attack. But now he's going to have to go ahead and get that third Nexus up. And, you know, you generally want to take the base that he's taking the mine out at right now. You can take the mineral-only base, but you can't really protect your probes from Vultures there. There's no way to make a pylon wall. You have to kind of just cannon it up or have Dragoons there.
Yeah. That's, like, if you have a lot of map control, the mineral bases become pretty good. Also, in these positions, the one thing I've definitely found on Dominator is taking that mineral base in these spots is incredibly hard because it's so close to the rally of Protoss. And you have to like go down onto a low ground, then up onto the high ground. So I think Sharp should expand to 9 o'clock as his third base. And if he doesn't do that, I get really scared for him because Best is like the best at macroing up quickly and busting positions. So if you're not playing a very defensive-looking game here, it's going to be tough.
So not a lot going to happen for the time being. The observer is just spotting, seeing the factories, counting that. It's funny. It's a funny map. You can't really hide a command center easily here, and it's hard to get the observer to not get inside your base. So Protoss kind of just gets to see what Terran's doing.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of tech is going to come here. Oh, that's unfortunate when you send this a little bit too soon. You can lose a lot of money having like 7 or 8 probes do a long-distance mining move.
That is annoying.
But yeah, we want to see what kind of tech there's going to be. Double Robo has been growing in popularity on this map, I think, because it's so easy to just fly in their main with mass shuttles.
Best was the first guy that I saw doing that. I don't know about you, but like when this build first was coming out, it was Best doing against Flash, and Flash struggling with it. So
yeah.
I would like to see him do that.
I remember seeing this a long time ago, and I remember telling you about this, and you were like, no, that's not a thing. And I'm like, Tastosis, it looks really good. And then we got a cast, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what this is.
Yeah, I actually remember that.
Yeah. But it's good because, you know, there's moments where with mass shuttle you can just dump units on top of the push if they you know, position things wrong. But if not, you can fly into their main. You know, in some ways it's stronger than an Arbiter recall because you can't EMP the shuttles or really do much else about it. But I think for now it's just single shuttle.
Just for now, but I think this style is good on this map too, especially with the back of Sharp's main facing Best. So I think it's a really good choice by Best. Now Sharp moving out of his natural, might be a little bit of counterplay in here. Not really a lot of defense for Sharp. Has a couple missile turrets, but yeah, just now laying a few mines.
Oh! There's like this sweet spot here. He can just barely hit workers from that patch.
Not bad.
Oh, that could have been so much worse for Sharp. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Is the Reaver going to be able to block the ramp, maybe?
I think so.
Oh, that's just pure, you know, randomness of the universe.
Yes.
There's a Reaver there. Wow.
Love it when things like that happen. But that will block it. He still gets some pretty good probe kills overall. Like, he did well with those vultures. But the counter of the Reaver did reasonably well also. I think Sharp just has to expand. I'm not sure what he's doing here, because he hasn't started a third command center. And I think if you try to do a push here, you're not going to beat Best. You are not going to be able to push through him here.
Yeah, this is a tough one because the thirds, they feel far away for the Terran. You know, you can get your tanks kind of close, but it's going to be tough. And here comes that counterplay with the shuttle. It's so hard to deal with this as Terran, truly.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to take out this turret and then pick up. And this just basically pulls units back into the main. That's all you want to do.
Look at this. Going to do
Could
a little bit of
drop a zealot here?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, unload the shuttle.
Oh my gosh.
That's so sick. 4 tanks. 1 hit from anything in the game, including the probe, and they're dead.
Yeah. In fact, a Broodling. A Broodling would have got him.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're going to have Psy Storms incorporated here now. Go ahead, Artos.
I think it's time for Best to take his 4th. Oh, he just as I'm saying that, 4th base goes down at his mineral base, and I think that's okay here. He does want to be a little bit careful about that. 3rd base coming up for Sharp. So now that you know that Sharp's going for the 3rd base, like, there's no real attack that Sharp can pull. And I feel like a place that I've seen some Protosses playing a little bit in error is not getting the 5th base quickly enough. Like, once you identify that your opponent is in a position like this, like, okay, they have to kind of secure all this. You know, I'm ahead on supply. I have my 4 bases. You need to get that 5th base up, because 4 base is still very dealable for Terran. When Protoss gets 5 base, that's when it's like, ooh, this is getting a little bit, it's a little bit iffy. Things are getting messy.
I think that Best may disagree with you. This is the way I thought about this too. I've seen a lot of games where he actually gets the 5th Nexus after or as he's doing a bust. It's really weird. And
Yeah,
I
I
feel
don't
like
like
every
it.
time I watch him do it, I'm just like, this is wrong. But then he breaks them.
Yeah, and that
Like,
definitely
he's
can
going
occur.
to. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, every time I watch Best do this, I'm like, oh, he messed up. Like, he should have more bases. And then he like does the bust. Oh my God, he's not even mining from that base right now.
Yeah, he's
You know,
playing pretty aggro.
Best, he kind of bends time and space. He can get bases really late and have a sloppy early mid game, and then just like max out and kill him. Like, it's truly crazy to me watching what he can get away with. This is also a very Best move, is to try to run everything up a ramp.
Yeah,
that's
Dragoons
fortified.
first, by the way. Let's get those Dragoons
Yeah.
up there first. Like, what? This is so messy. And see, he's doing all these moves. He could just make a 5th Nexus and not be wasting army trying to shove Dragoons up a ramp.
Oh,
There
I
it is.
agree.
There
I
it is.
agree.
No,
But
we're
the
actually
number
right,
of games-
Tasteless. We're right, not him.
The
I'm serious.
number of games, double robo, by the way, the number of games that I see where I'm like, no way. And about 50% of them, he just breaks up the ramp and kills a Terran, and I'm like, huh. Remember he did this on Retro, and it worked?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
I know exactly the
okay,
game you're
like,
talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't attack up that ramp. He's like, you watch
Yeah,
me.
like if I saw anybody else do it, I'd be like, yeah, well, let's pause the replay here. This is wrong. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Now he's going to go for that bust. I think he's hoping that there's an overcommitment of units on the high ground at the third base. Now he's going to just drop. Oh, my God.
Uh-oh. I think there's just enough Zealots to help clear out the rest of these tanks. And that right there, Tasteless, when you have a fifth Nexus on the way, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the best bust. It's like 4 bases.
Damn.
It's, I don't know. I think we might have to reevaluate how many bases Protosses have if they're going to do busts. Because he's just the Protoss that still does busts like this. And he's getting, 4th and 5th bases later now than before.
Well, I think still the theory behind it is correct to take the 5th base a little bit earlier than he took it here. But, I mean, obviously he did a great bust. His shuttle moves were like, okay, they did pretty well, I think, as well. And Sharp was just not quite set up right to deal with Psystorm. The Psystorms just gave him enough value to bust everything there.
All right, there's going to be another push coming through here.
Now,
I mean, Terran's basically dead. I mean, this is the honest truth about this. He's going to push over here. He's going to keep killing off tanks. And maybe Terran fights back and saves at the ramp, but the third base should fall pretty easily. I don't know what's there exactly now, but I can promise you every one of the gateways back at Best's home is producing. So right now, this is a naked base. So you push the Terran as far back as they can, and then this base is open. It's ripe for the picking. You come right through there. This will force Terran to pull more tanks back out again, and that's when you stomp them out.
Really amazing game here from Best. Played very, very well. I didn't feel like Sharp actually played poorly this game. This is kind of how you have to end up playing it. He didn't drop the block the drops that well, but yeah, Best advances to that final match. Sharp, our second-place player from last season, is out first in the group, not winning a single map.
Wow. Crazy. Sharp played so well previously, and here we are. We got a great PVT coming up, man. Best for Speed. Ooh, I can't wait.
Yes, and you're going to see a lot of differences. Sharp and Speed play kind of similarly, but Speed does a few notable things differently. Like, his drop defense is much better than Sharp's. If we get a similar game there, you're going to see more missile turrets, you're going to see more mines, and the drops aren't going to deliver as well as they did there against Sharp. And I think that that's an important change. And I think, again, that goes towards how many ladder games he plays. You know, up at the top for Sharp, he's only playing Bisu and Best and these guys. Well, commercial's going to interrupt me, but here we go.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
You hit me with the AGY, I'ma hit you with the boy bye. You told me that I'm too closed off, but you know that I'm not involved with playboys. I don't wanna be your play toy. I can't let you flip through my pages and hold me close like those playboys. I don't wanna be your play toy. Don't you know that I'm so much more than a centerfold? You hit me with the what you doing, I'ma hit you with the nothing much. As if it's any of your business what I'm even doing up. You told me that you wanna come through, but I told you that you're not in love. Cause I don't really got the time for someone who don't give a.
I know because I'm hot you think I don't have a brain, but newsflash, not only am I sexy and out of your league, I have an IQ of like 140.
Playboys, I don't wanna be your play toy. I can't let you flip through my pages and hold me close like those playboys. I don't wanna be your play toy. Don't you know that I'm so much more than a centerfold? Playboys, I don't wanna be your play toy. I can't let you flip through my pages and hold me close like those
Do it like that. 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 Like that. Do it like that. Do it like that. Do it like, do it like that. Do it like that. Do it like, do it like that. Do it like that. Do it like that. Like that. Do it like, do it like that. Do it like that.
It's been a long time and I miss this feeling. It feels like freedom, it feels like healing. Floating off the floor, past the ceiling. The wind in my hair, I can see the light. At the end of the tunnel as I'm taking flight. Man, I'm feeling like myself again. Hey, man, I'm feeling like myself again. It's been a long time and I miss this feeling. It feels like freedom, it feels like healing. Floating off the floor, past the ceiling. The wind in my hair, I can see the light. At the end of the tunnel as I'm taking flight. Man, I'm feeling like myself again. Hey, man, I'm feeling like myself again. Angels fascinated, reporting back to the maker. I'm emancipated, blow a kiss out the neighbor. Saying bye to Felicia, saying hi to Miss Parker. I was in the darkness, didn't stop me shining though. I was at the bottom, but it didn't stop me climbing though. Talents, we ain't hiding those. Cook out, I'm providing flows. Homie, you invited, getting reunited. With the real you no longer gotta hide it. They love to see us fighting, love it when we are divided. Yo, we bout to make a man. Food on the table, big stacks in the bag. Drink in my hand, watch me do a little dance. Take a little chance, kick it with a queen. Chilling with my mans, going with the flow, mixing up the plans. Listening to jam, stresses out the window. Kick your feet up and relax. Ease your foot up off the gas, and if you're going through it, this too shall pass. Woo! Hey. Hey, I'm feeling like myself again. Man, I'm feeling like myself again. Yeah. It feels good, don't it?
Welcome back, everybody. This is our final best of 3 for the week. Best for Speed. What's this going to look like? I think Best has a very specific style. It feels a little bit older. He's kind of a busty PVT player. He likes to kind of control the game as best he can early, be greedy early, and then he just powers up and he makes it tough for the Terran. He'll break you down in positions that literally no other Protoss in the world even bothers to try. Other Protoss players like Mini or Rain or Snow will look at a situation and go, nah, I think I'll go carriers here, or maybe it's better to try to cheese, or I'll go for a Reaver opening because a bus doesn't feel safe. Can Speed try to play around that?
I think he can. I think his planning today has been good. He fell to Jaydong pretty one-sidedly there, but he had good ideas. And I think that, with how many Speed shuttles Best does like to use for his harassment, that should help Speed a bit. Because he's better at that defense. So we're going to go into Deja Vu, Eclipse, and Radeon. All right, interesting map pool there. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it? Okay,
Let's get into
Tastosis. I agree. Let's get into it. Speed in the bottom left. And Best in the bottom right.
Man.
Interesting TVPs so far. You know, clearly Sharp didn't have the answer. I do feel like Speed is certainly in better shape. And also, you know, Best had some bumpy early games in both of his games. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that definitely could continue to occur here. You know, I think the 3-gate observer was a good idea. Speed has a really wide range of openers. He does, like, everything. And I think, again, one of the main things I've noticed about his Terran versus Protoss is he's one of the best against drops. He makes a few more turrets than most Terrans and lays more mines in his main base. And I actually think that's going to become the standard eventually. Because, like, you saw how much damage Sharp was taking. He was having to run back. He's evacuating SCVs, losing a few, having to rebuild stuff. You know, like, Speed will see that's happening, and he'll make a turret ring, and he'll have, like, another turret inside, and he'll lay mines everywhere. And it's like, yeah, go ahead, drop. You're going to get punished for it. And it's like, you know, there's obviously, like, a line where you don't want to over-defend things, but under-defending is terrible as well. And I do feel like that's something that a lot of Terrans are doing right now, is under-defending against some of these things.
Yeah, it is this circular meta, you know, where Protosses get too greedy, Terrans get too aggro, Protosses get conservative and punish the aggro Terrans, you know, they go back, and you have this kind of cycle where they're kind of chasing each other.
Yeah.
For instance, we had a lot of Nexus firsts from Best and a lot of other Protosses in previous seasons. Best in most of his games so far has actually gone for Gateway Cybernetics Core. So, you know, these are old, kind of classical PvT builds. I think because he's, you know, kind of chased that part of the meta down to this part again. We've kind of gone all the way back to the beginning.
I think it speaks towards Best liking the mid game. Like if you open like this, it brings down early game volatility. If you open with Nexus first, it brings up early game volatility, right? So if your strong point is mid game, maybe you feel like it's a better idea to open like this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it's very possible. We could end up in a game where, like, you know, it's going to look a lot like the very old PvTs. We've got, you know, basically factory expand versus, you know, Dragoon range here, scouting probe, Best over extending almost there. You know, that scouting probe can be valuable. A lot of players send it back, but sometimes you hide it somewhere on the map and try to slip in a little bit later on. That's always a good counterplay to a Terran that tries to push out and, you know, kind of challenge you at your base, is then you can run in and figure out, okay, is he like going for a starport after the factory and command center?
Nice run back in there by the SCV. Really gets that back in as quickly as he possibly can. Gets in front of the probe, which is important. And that'll allow him to check, like, is range still going? That's a big check. And if you still see range going at this point, you know that they're going to let range finish. And, of course, you know, no other tech quite yet.
Okay. The Vulture's going to slip out. By the way, the SCV is still scouting inside the main. Ooh. Can he actually kill this? Okay.
He went for a body block on the Vulture. That's actually a really good move, is to get in front and then block, and then the Marines get like 2 additional shots each. But he actually missed it just barely.
That's happened to me before. It's always a bit of a shock to the system of the Protoss, because in their head, they're like, the Dragoon can't die.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you're basically safe against as many Marines as you want, so when they do that, it's kind of crazy. He is going for the DT rush, by the way. There will be a second gateway thrown down. I've
DT
started...
drop.
Oh, my God, it's DT drop. Never mind. I was going to say I have experimented with DT rushes in close spots, and I've had a decent amount of success with it. It works partially because the Terran really wants to rush in these spots, and so they tend to skip the eBay. So sometimes the DT will literally run by the rush. But with a DT drop, this is cool because, first of all, you can absolutely hold a push with a DT drop. Like, they'll just have to turn around.
Yeah.
But, like, let's say he's, I don't know, making a third command center fast. DTs are going to be great there. And a lot of times the follow-up from this is Arbiter. It always felt like Arbiter, you almost had to go for it because you already have the Templar Archives, but I have seen these weird games where Protoss go for carriers.
After
I'm always
DT
kind of
drop,
blown away by.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's some crazy stuff. I've seen it in the
every time I see it, I
Psystorm,
go,
but
huh.
yeah. I think Psystorm
Psystorm's
or
fine for that.
Yeah, Psystorm or Arbiter does feel best, but yeah. Well, that's why carriers are probably reasonable as well, is because it's unexpected, right?
Yeah, it's counterintuitive.
And you're not likely
So
to
you're, you know,
utilize your scans at that point to search for carriers too early because you want to kind of bank them for DTs
Oh, that's a good
too.
point too.
So yeah, that
I
makes
like
some
that
sense.
point you made. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't go immediately into carriers, but you know, I'm just saying like a third base and then tech into carriers. I've seen it every once in a while, and I'm always
Sure.
kind of like, huh. You kind of just can get away with anything, huh, guy?
That's for sure. That I can stand behind right there, Tasteless.
That I understand, Tasteless.
Yeah.
So he's got the shuttle. He's going to load up the 2 DTs. And, you know, a lot of games, you'll just get an incredible amount of damage off with the DTs if the Terran is being greedy.
He's
and
actually
if not, okay.
He's got great turret placement. That's very conservative turret placement. This is like literally anti-DT drop turret placement, I would say. Like if you knew it was coming, you'd make one more in your main towards the bottom because he can get around the bottom and maybe kill some depots. But he's read this perfectly. He really did.
Can he slip through the bottom here?
Yeah, so that's a little bit annoying, and he is making an additional turret in the mineral line, but he'll lose probably 2 depots here is my guess.
He's going to try to splash damage the DT.
Big shout out to Montaro. That's back in the day, Tasteless, like 1999 or so.
Oh, Montaro.
Yeah, there was
I
a guy,
there
was a strong American Terran known as Montaro that had Montaro.org, and that's where I learned that tactic of hitting the DTs by targeting SCVs you put next to them with the siege tanks.
I forgot about that. And there was Tsunami.
Oh, yeah.
Who had guides on some site as well. My brother and me, because we didn't know how to read, we would call him Tsunami.
Oh, my God.
And then later on, I'm like, I read the word. Yeah, I remember we were both calling him that, and then one day, like, I was in some, you know, elementary school class, and I saw the book of like different natural disasters, and it said tsunami, and my teacher corrected me for putting a T in front of it, and I went, oh, that's how you say that guy's name. Nice.
Dude.
Did he get one? Oh, no, never mind. The DT's still alive.
This is so annoying for
old
speed.
Guides. Ooh.
And he's still got both of them, man. Insane. He's ready to pick them up in a moment's notice. Like, it is so painful when you're like one matrix away from detection there. And he killed the academy that was making. This has been a really good DT drop so far. You know, sometimes they end the game and this isn't doing that, but dude, how annoying is this? Finally gets one there.
This is fantastic. Best is really just putting the hurt on here.
Oh, man.
He's going to go for the armory. Oh, gets in range of the turret. I guess it's just below that. Yeah, beautifully done. Is this Arbiter? Yeah. So he's going to go for that.
It's a great follow-up.
And, you know, it's funny because we'll see, you know, the way a Reaver drop does damage is so different from a DT drop. Like, a Reaver can come out, it can pick off turrets, it can snipe tanks, but the DTs can kind of just maneuver around the blind spots of your turrets and cause problems. And the moment that the Terran builds out into that area, you just abandon it and go somewhere else. It's super annoying.
Indeed.
I do find DT drops require, weirdly, more attention than even, like, Reaver drops and other stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of watching the whole time. So it's one of the reasons why I don't do them as much, is I find my minerals, like, pile up and I screw my whole game up because I'm running around with DTs.
I am on board with you 100%. There's builds like that I actually avoid when it matters. Because I'm like, no, I know my minerals pile up when I do this type of build. But I think it's because the Reaver drop has, like, a very steady rhythm to it. Everyone's kind of used to that rhythm and how to control it. Whereas DTs are more opportunistic, where you're like looking for very specific things and maneuvering them because of that.
Yeah, you are so spot on. Like, sometimes the more you focus with the DTs, way more damage can get out, where no matter what, you know the Reaver has to reload, you know how fast the shuttle moves, so you can, as long as you know it's a safe path, you can kind of go back and do what you got to do.
More predictable.
I've also realized with a lot of pros, like when they're doing drops like that, one of the things they will give up as a priority is actually sending workers to patches. Oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
gets that perfectly. I'll see players just like have 7 or 8 probes even queued up, and they're not going on minerals yet, but they made all their buildings.
Yeah. That's like Flash does that stuff too, where you'll see a ton of SCVs that have just been made but not sent to mine yet. Okay, so I have to point this out real quick. Like, we've been kind of talking about a lot of theory stuff during this because it's been kind of a fun game strategically. Looking at the game, Best is unbelievably dominating. I would be shocked if Speed wins this game. It would be one of the greatest comebacks ever because Best like slowed him down enough. He's getting a super fast 4th with Arbiter. I think that's perfect play. And this map and these positions, dude, it's tough because Best can take the high ground and bust downwards. You also have to watch out for potential recalls coming in. So it's just like you're taxed really heavily. The third base is not ready yet. Like, he's trying to set up. He's putting down some... He has to afford some turrets. Look at how small this army is. He's not even 100 supply yet, and we're at 11 minutes.
I mean, this is the dream right now for Best. I mean, I get that Speed has to take a third. Like, you kind of got to go for it, right? You can't just play from behind forever and just lose in a longer game instead of a shorter one. But
yeah,
I mean, we've seen the games that Best gets the bust off. This is probably going to be a bust right at 100. Yeah, 100 energy here. He's going to look for the stasis. He's going to go deep with the Arbiter. He says, is there any clump of tanks? Okay, we'll get 2 and the SCV making the turret. And then he's just going to come through here with everything. And I think this is just going to be a 1-0 here.
Yes.
Again, by the way, 4 bases. I want to point this out because I was thinking the same thing Tastosis was when I was watching Best play on his stream. And I always thought, isn't he like doing it wrong? Like, I think even I would have a 5th base. And then it just seems like apparently this is the way that you bust Terrans, is you just don't spend any extra minerals.
Well, when you get an advantage, when you get an
Yeah.
advantage like this, the clean macro into the attack, especially on Deja Vu, this is a really good map to play like that. I also want to mention, like, the defense of Sharp looked pretty good. He had good turret placement and stuff, and still the DT drop got Best into this unbelievably strong position. We're going to see a GG from Speed here shortly. There's no way he wants to stay in this game and struggle. It's not good for your mental even. Like, 0 to win. You could have 40 flashes controlling every single unit. Like 200 flashes in this game. And they are not going to beat Best.
And each flash has Goro arms. They have 4 arms. They're all hitting every key on the keyboard.
Perfect micro on every unit.
Goro
Perfect
did
macro.
have Ninja Turtle hands, though, now that I think about it. So maybe not actually good.
Barely more fingers than us, Tasteless.
Yeah. GG. Best takes that one a lead. Speed looking distraught. You know, DT. By the way, DT drops are rare even at pro levels.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about this. Like, you could almost forget DT drop is like one of the big techs. It's not like Reavers, where you see them all the time. DT rushes you see all the time. DT drops, I would say statistically, the thing Protoss does the least. Am I correct about this, Tastosis?
I think you are correct, actually. And I hope it doesn't increase tonight. That would put me in a bad mood.
Oh, God.
I'm going to be laying a few extra mines on my base
What
tonight.
if it became common? Tastosis just takes glasses off and wipes the fog off.
Yeah. No, it used to be much more popular, like way back, like 2007, 2008. It was actually a very popular build back then. But yeah, he does a great job with it. Best completely outclassing Speed in that particular game. We're going to go to Eclipse. Such a different map. And, like, Sharp had a great opener against Best. I think Speed can take that and learn from it and be like, okay, this is how Best wants to play. Like, if Speed opens the 3-fact, I think he'll have a better plan to follow it up. Like, take a 4th base, then attack, that type of thing. But yeah, let's see how he opens. You can see he's definitely in a negative mindset, shaking his head over and over and over. He's definitely frustrated with that loss.
ASL Season 19.
Okay, Speed in the top right, Best in the bottom left. On the dreaded map Eclipse. The map that is tough for Terran in the mid game. I'd say tougher than the other maps that we've got in the lineup. Going through all the maps in my head, I think this is still probably the worst mid game. The third base is far, far away. There's only one obvious spot to expand to as Terran, which isn't that uncommon. A lot of maps, it's like there's only one clear third base. But
yeah,
it is also a map that Protoss can expand into 2 different directions.
That's right.
And to top it all off, gas steals, proxy gates, you name the cheese, Protoss can do it. It's just a very much a gauntlet of different map features from early all the way into late game that are troubling for Terran. I do feel like if you get into kind of end game Terran, like if they can get 4 bases and then push up into that 5th base in the top left, I think it does favor Terran. But that assumes, that presupposes that you survived all the stuff that Protoss could do to you earlier, right? And
yes,
sometimes
a good way
games
to
don't
put
have
it.
to go into end game, right?
I kind of agree with you a little bit. Not like I think mostly what you said here is true. I think that the best way to win Eclipse is to take the 4th base. It's just you saw the power of counterattacks from Best, and if you don't have the 4th base, like the 4th base gives you more staging points and more areas to slow Protoss counterattacks down. So I feel like that is the best way to play it. One of the big problems with Eclipse is you can't really prevent Protoss from going carriers because, again, of the counterattacks. Other maps, it's like you'll hit a timing attack, and Protoss might try to counter, and that's still a good play. But there will be some path where Terran can kind of head off the army, kind of box the army back. And that's the biggest problem. It's not that they gas steal. The biggest problem is there's no way to switch lanes. Like, especially those 2 big middle ones. It's just you have to go all the way to the front or the back, and there's no other way to intercept anything. So that's, I think that's where the biggest issue is for Terran versus Protoss. And yeah, I guess we'll see how Speed wants to deal with it this game.
So the Nexus expand is incredibly common and incredibly strong off gas steel. It's made for these very, very subtle, but I think pretty interesting early games on both sides. Generally Protoss can't really do much to punish. I guess maybe the Zealot run by is an option.
I want to throw this out there that Speed has actually opened this very differently from other Terrans. Most every Terran goes second depot and start making some Marines and scout what's happening, then make the command center. He actually played this like a gasless expansion, where he just immediately made the command center and then second depot and then started really getting his Marines going. Like he had 1 Marine, but that's not abnormal. Wow, good micro from Best. So he's just getting his expansion up a lot quicker than like what we saw Sharp do. I feel like that's actually definitely an improvement.
Well, when you take a Terran's gas, there's this tendency for the Terran to kind of panic, right? They're scrambling to get the gas, or they're going to try to do an all-in if you went Nexus first and counterattack. And I think that the pretty relaxed, like make a command center and kind of watch the Protoss and just see what they're doing and see if you can match them is a good route.
I think so.
And the timing of the gas now for the Terran seems like a pretty normal time, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, he lost a little bit of mining time killing it with the SCVs, but not a huge deal. And, he's done this just right on the Marine count to be able to push back the first Zealot. So he'll start the factory, then he'll probably go for the bunker, because you don't want to go up to 6-7 Marines here. That's like, you're getting a little bit crazy at that point, but actually he did start another one, so we'll see. Sometimes it's just best to make a bunker.
Yeah, the funny thing with the bunker is that if you skip it and they don't attack you, you've got more money, right?
Yes.
You'll see this in PvZ. Like, if you don't make any cannons and they didn't attack you, you kind of get away with murder, right? But if they are not, if they're going to be aggressive at all, then you're punished. But for now, Speed has no bunker. He sends an SCV to go around the side.
Yeah,
are we going to see a really, really fast third factory here because there's no bunker?
I actually think because he made the extra Marines, he's definitely doing a timing attack, and he wants a lot of Marines in it. This looks to me like it'll probably be like a 3 siege tank attack. Oh, the hidden port. Okay. about a year and a half ago, this was pretty popular, where you'd go 2 factory and you just make it look like a regular 2 factory pressure. And so, you know, when a 2 factory pressure comes, Stasis, you bring your goons to the front. You have your observer there kind of watching. You're ready to micro against the tanks and everything. And then suddenly, a vulture drop into your base because your goons are out front, you know, being, you know, led around by the main Terran army. So it's a very tricky build and definitely has a lot of potential.
I like this setup a lot. I'm really interested in if Best can handle it. You know, builds like this, it's really hard to scout. I mean, especially this spot. I think usually if you hide a starport, it would be somewhere in the top left. And I guess in some ways there's less hiding spots in the top left.
True.
When you drop, keep in mind that the vultures would have to fly through the natural, but maybe that actually works out even better for speed because you can drop 1 vulture behind the minerals and then drop 3 in the main, right?
Totally. It's a great way to do it because then you have more potential for damage spread across the 2 bases. Maybe they don't manage that right. And don't forget, you have the rest of your army, so maybe you can get damage with that at the same time. Maybe you pulled back. Really kind of matters what the situation's looking like. And, you know, each game like this is a precious snowflake. You know, this isn't an armory opening where you've seen it all before. This is a lot about maneuvering and tactics and pulling attention into different locations. Definitely very skill-intensive for both players.
Now, keep in mind, if the drop backfires, like let's say it just gets shot out of the sky, Terran's in hell. I'm sorry, that's Robotech, right?
Yeah.
There's Robotech. Okay, so there's a possibility the Reaver pops out as this dropship's coming in. Now, this is the dream. This SCV is literally here to be killed by these Dragoons so that, oh my God, look at his placement.
Huh.
I cannot even believe this.
Well, this is where you bring the push out.
Map hacking.
Yeah, you have to bring the push out in this situation because you need him to react.
Yeah.
This isn't. Yeah, I think this isn't going to work.
At 7:30, the drop comes in. That's the time you look for on the clock. And if it doesn't come, you know, in the next 10, 15 seconds, you can look away. The Reaver drop's going to come in. Now, this also puts Terran in a weird spot because there's nothing back here.
Yeah,
right?
This is an issue.
He's like doing this drop and push, so like, I mean, I don't know exactly how this goes. The Wraith also makes it complicated for the Protoss because now the shuttle can't leave. But the Reaver's doing work, man. Oh my God. He's going to take out 1 vulture. Good shooting there in the main. Even gets that mine. Reaver's out. Oh my God, he takes some damage.
Yeah, that's an excellent hit. And you know what? He can micro heavily back there and maybe get some units. Does counterattack the 3rd base at the same time. I think there is maybe potential to kill the 3rd because he has so many Marines there. I guess we'll see. 7 kills on that Reaver, by the way, and it looks like his drop will be cleaned up. Oh, the tank's actually kind of being blundered forward a little bit here. Dude, Best is crushing.
Insane. I've never seen a hold like this ever. This is wild, dude. I mean, he's literally, he just like killed in every sense.
Yeah.
He's going to kill the final tank, and the probes are going to be perfectly transferred up here. The Vulture can't get up into the high ground. A Reaver is ready to go. SCVs were killed back at the expansion. What?
Very well done. And, you know, Speed is still trying to make something happen here. He's laying some mines. Maybe there's still, like, a little bit of potential. He still has the starport. Like, you might be able to get a drop-off on the 3rd or something. He does have 4 facts at home, so that's nice. But any windows for damage, I feel like, are closing very, very quickly.
Well, you know, here's the other problem, too, Artie, is that, like, when the dust settles here, it goes back into a 2-base Terran versus a 3-base Protoss. And we were talking about the problem with this map at the start of this match, is that 3rd base for Terran is hard. And after heavy 2-base pushes, the only thing Terran can do is take a 3rd base.
Yeah.
You know, Protoss, when they get the 3rd base, a lot of the heavy lifting of the early game's done. You're basically going to glide into mid-game. You're making workers, you're making gateways and observers, and trying to just see what they're doing. And Terran has to try to figure out how to get on the map. And an active early game Terran like this one that didn't get anything done, and really this Terran didn't get anything done, is going to be really struggling to find damage and a third base later on. And again, the same idea. This dropship, I think it actually, well, unbelievable. It lives, but, you know, all the vultures die.
Yeah, not the worst drop, like 2 vultures for like 4 probes. Okay. You know, it's fine, it's whatever. But Best definitely, his supply is about to shoot up and Speed's is not. That's gonna be a big problem. Like Best is gonna really hit his macro. He's gonna be able to get a 4th base very easily. Would love to see him take his regular 4th and then make a 5th in the bottom right. I think that's the strongest way to play by miles. It's so hard for Terran to decide, okay, where am I actually attacking here?
I thought he was going to shoot down for a second. I'm like, no way. He is a time traveler. How does he know where everything is? I think from here, you get a forge with cannons at each base, and you get ready to break this. And God, you know Best is going to go for the bust. He's the only player you know 100% he's going to go for a bust.
Truth. I'm sure he's getting Zealot legs right now, preparing himself. Clearing some of these mines up down the different paths. You know, I believe the command center's done here. Oh, man.
Oh, no way. Uh-oh. Gamer alert. He's getting the Reaver drops up off over here. I mean, it's going to be a perfect takedown. I think Speed... I could not be judged if he GG'd out here. He doesn't have to. He's fighting for his tournament life. But, like, man, he's back down to 2 tanks. Big reset button hit. Protoss on what? 8 gateways with a 4th Nexus about to complete. The command center for Terran's going to finish, but will it ever land at the 3rd base? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, the game is pretty much sealed up now.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, right, like Best stopped that drop really well. And when I was explaining the build, because it was a 2-factory into a later proxy starport, like, you need to push out with your tanks. And he had everything in his main base. I feel like that's where things really went wrong. Because if you're not actually pushing Protoss, there's no reason for them to not stand in anti-drop positions. You know, you have to show something on the map and make it worth their while to leave their mineral lines. And he just didn't do that. You know? He, like, dropped it about the same time he started to move out, where normally you move out, get the Protoss engaged with you, and then do the drop. And it just felt like the plan didn't really come together for him. Look at the supplies.
And this is the... yeah. He is about to double him. He's going to finish 2 or 3 more pylons, and then he's going to max out. Yeah, this area here, it's hard. The 3rd base is so far away. It's such a wide area that Protoss can try to set up a surround. And the further Terran pushes, the wider the angle is to be hit from all sides.
Yeah, this is not going to go well. He's trying to set up as cost efficiently as he can. Best could right-click his army into the middle of that without attack move, and he would still win this battle.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking. He is going to just wipe them out.
He's also great splitting the Zealots to attack stuff here, although this game he's not really doing it. He's just a move. Okay, here we go. He's going to actually do it now. I think we're seconds away from GG here. Speed had a great run, and he showed a lot of promise. But at the end of this series, it's Best who's going to be moving on into that round of 8 spot.
Dude, a lot of our Terrans are gone. That's like a lot of the possible Terran representation. And I think the Rush has a tough group. So GG, Best gets through. So now in our top 8, we already have Sulky, Light, Jaydong, and Best. What a killer group of 4 players advance.
Great day of games. I got to say, that hold of what Speed did was, I think, literally perfect.
Yeah,
I think almost any of the Protoss players takes a beating, maybe loses the 3rd or loses all their probes. One of the best holds I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I know I'm saying a lot of, like, I know I've said I've ever seen a couple times in a couple different games. I mean it. Today has been exceptional.
It has. The play from Jaydong and Best was very, very good. And, you know, I love Speed. I love Sharp, 2 of my absolute favorite players in the world to watch. I think they definitely made some misplays today that really led to this as well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he left himself really wide open here, but I just think he didn't time the drop correctly. To go in with the drop, you know, and just not really have your pressure out there enough to draw them forward is rough.
This specifically turned out to be insanely impactful. The pylon wall, which is always meant to stop vultures from running up. I don't know what happened here. Let's take a look. It looks like the fire was diverted. I think the distribution of shots, it was like every pylon was burning.
Yeah.
And not going to get killed off. So there's no escape route.
His positioning was off too, and he didn't have siege mode. Like, if he had set up correctly, this could have killed the third and all those goons.
If he had 2 tanks on the high ground with siege mode up and mines and vultures and marines in front of it, he would have been, I think, at least killing dragoons at worst, and at most killing the Nexus and dragoons. So
yeah,
kind of a crazy moment. The transfer timing was perfect. Sort of unreal.
Well, that does it. I think we're going to jump over to an interview now with Best and see how he's feeling about making it to the round of 8.
And that does it for Group B of the round of 16 of ASL Season 19, done in partnership with Hot6. As we have our final player advancing through today, let's meet Best. Congratulations and good work. Thank you. After many twists and turns, you've done it. You can go home with a good result. No joke, Best is something else when it comes to PvT. A painful elimination last season, but regardless, you've made a speedy return to the round of 8. How are you feeling? Honestly, losing the first game is not ideal. I thought I was going to get knocked out, but the games went in the opposite direction. This is remarkable. And making it into the round of 8 after a while, I don't know who I'm going to meet there, but I'll make sure to prepare well and win. I'm sure these wins you scored today will carry personal significance. Even in the pre-game interview, you said, I don't know why I'm always beside myself as soon as I run into Sharp. And Speed said you were the one who made everything click for him. Having to go up against Terran players who gave you as much trouble as they did, it must have been burdensome, but overcoming this burden and getting a good result, what does that mean for you? I said I can't come to grips whenever I play Sharp, and that was the case today too. I was so confused. I didn't think I would take as much damage as I did. I was beside myself. But as we played, I just thought, it's fine. If I get eliminated, let me just try and play by my rules. That seems to have gone well. And perhaps that's why when the situation got a little complicated in the early game, in the first set of the losers match against Sharp, you regardless showed this PvT style of yours. You took him on in fights with superior supply to overcome that crisis. It was impressive indeed, and in the decider match against Speed, likewise, you harassed him with those Dark Templar drops you do so well and you do so often. You went for quick Arbiters to claim a clean victory. Did you come here knowing this is the build to use? To be honest, I only practiced versus Terran with JYJ and I didn't give it as much attention. I already have builds I practice on the daily. I thought, let's just go by the feeling. It worked well. I got even more out of it than normally and punched through easier than I thought I would. Scoring consecutive wins against Terran and going into that last set against Speed, it feels both physically and in terms of your judgment. You improved your form very quickly. I think that raising your form is this quickly for the round of 8 will be an assignment for you. Homework. What do you think? Nothing seems to be easy this season. I always go loss, win, win. I lose the first match in a weird way. I'm worried about the round of 8 too. In the quarterfinals, I'll need to compose myself from the first set onwards and win. Your PvT is very meticulous and reliable, but the defeat you suffered in the PvZ against Jaydong will be painful. And you don't know if you'll have to play the extended series of the round of 8 against a Zerg. What aspects did you resolve to fix for that? Nowadays in PvZ, the map size in the early game is not good. I'll have to make up for that. A lot of games just come out wonky. I think there's a lot of concepts I'm not familiar with, so I'll need to ask around and try things out. But still, seeing how calmly you overcame and dealt with those moments of crisis today, the fans couldn't help but chant your name. It's late, they're still here with us. Do you have anything to say to the fans and your colleagues? A lot of fans were not happy with me getting eliminated in the round of 24 last season. I have made the round of 8 again. Please cheer for me. Despite those first sets, my performance is good. I keep improving it bit by bit. I'll improve it even more with the time I have left. I'll make sure to win in the round of 8 and go to the semi-finals. And your colleagues who cheered for you and helped you practice? I practiced with Queen, Soma, and Rush, but I was hardly winning anything. I felt there was still a lot missing as I practiced, a lot that I need to fix. Our team YB clan has a university match tomorrow. They practiced a lot and cheered for me from home, so it would be nice if tomorrow they played how they practiced and they won. I'm always thankful to the fans, our crew and YB. I will not stop in the round of 8 and secure a seed. Thanks. We'll keep cheering on you as you compete this season. Oh, and yes, and my former students, I need to thank them too. Oh yeah, you can't forget that. They were so energetic cheering for you here. Take that energy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next match. Thank you. Congratulations on advancing. And there you have your second player advancing to the quarterfinals. It's Protoss Player Best.
재민아 미안해.
All right. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Best and Jaydong advanced. Our Terran players not doing so well in this round so far. One non-Terran versus Terran map win for the 5 Terran players that have played. We'll see if that continues forward. But, you know, Jaydong was the big story tonight. He looked phenomenal.
Yeah. I've really liked our games so far. I especially like yesterday, man. A lot of great TVTs. Really interested to see how people are approaching that matchup. Today was really fun. Kind of crazy that Sharp and Speed were knocked out. I really thought at least one of them would advance forward here.
Me too.
Especially with how Speed and, I mean, both of them recently have looked so good. I don't know. Look, Jaydong, this actually could be his season. I'm not just saying that. You know, Best won in a very Best-like fashion. You know, he had a pretty poor PVZ, and then he did exactly what he does in PVT, that he does better than anybody else in the whole world. The question is going to be, how far can that carry him?
Yeah. Our next groups, we have Rain, Action, Bisu, and Queen at the beginning of next week, and then Snow, Rush, Hero, and Mini. I tell you what, Tasteless, it's shaping up right now to be a very Zerg and Protoss heavy. There's literally only Rush left for the Terran players. But I guess that would be suiting if it's just Light and Rush in the top 8. I'm like, yep, those are our only 2 performers. There you go.
Yeah, those are our Terrans. Yeah, this group's going to be fun. You know, Queen has had, after being one of the players to rise to the very top, back when you were still in Korea Tastosis, I mean, Queen was looking like he might be the usurper of Flash for a little bit. Let's see how he does here. Action's been wildly consistent, and Rain and Bisu are... I mean, it's very possible it's 2 Protosses that just move on.
Bisu's in great shape. Rain is the most talented player, I think, in the ASL. Action has been playing really well lately, and Queen is really back in form as well. That's just a solid, solid group.
And we're going to be ending with fireworks here at Group D, the craziest group we could possibly have here with Snow Rush, Hero Mini. I mean, I don't even know what to say.
If you showed me those,
so fun.
Yeah, if you showed me those 4 players, I wouldn't say, oh, that's like a group in the round of 16. I'd say, oh, the top 4 from last season? Okay, cool.
yeah, exactly. You mean top 4 in what could have been any ASL season in recent memory? I don't know. It's been a fun season. Again, it's so good to be back, guys. You know, again, looking at Group D, it's going to be just, I just can't stop. I'm just staring at my monitor like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Look, guys, we have a week off. We're going to be back with Tuesday. Well, no, what is it? Sorry, Wednesday and Thursday. These will be uploaded. So thank you so much for joining us. It was another amazing week, and we look forward to seeing you again in a little bit.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. It has been fun. Make sure you check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.